Namaskar friends, welcome to the channel JIB and CIB Made Simple. If you are preparing for the certificate examination in IT security, this video can literally decide your result. What if I tell you just 100 MCQ can cover the most expected question in your exam? No boring theory, no wasting time, only concept plus memory based questions that are directly exam focused. And the best part, these are designed for last minute revision. So even if you are starting late, you still have a strong chance to score 60 plus easily. So don't skip this video because every question here is carefully selected to boost your mark. Watch till the end, you don't want to miss even a single one. And if you want PDF of this, you can WhatsApp me on the number shown on the screen, or you can check out the description section of the video. I have added the link. So let's get started with our very first question. IS auditor is checking a legacy payroll system. Yeah, what he is doing? He is reviewing a legacy payroll system, right? What are the inputs? The inputs are the timesheets, which is easy to see and verify. When the outputs are the paycheck, which is also easy to verify. And also there is something called, internal processing logic, internal software logic, which is very simple. But the auditor cannot see or taste the source code. Auditor lack the technical tool to inspect the underlying source code. So the question is asking that which audit approach focus only on input and output and ignore internal processing. The auditor decide to reconcile the input data with the output result to ensure accuracy. So which auditing approach is being described here? Option they have given: auditing through the computer, auditing around the computer, continuous audit monitoring, integrated test facility. So I request you to please pause the video here, think about it logically and then answer. Now basically what is happening in this particular question, that this particular auditor, okay, he has not examined the logic, he does not test automated control, he only check whether correct input gives correct output. He only check whether if I am giving correct input, am I getting correct output. So this means what is happening here, that this computer is treated like a black box. Think about it. Basically what I am treating the computer like, the computer is being treated like a black box. So what happened, suppose this is the computer, okay, this is the computer. So data comes in, data is coming in and the results is coming out. Data goes into and results come out. And auditor check whether output makes sense from the input. So auditor makes sense of it, whether the output makes sense or not. So basically this is called internal processing is ignored. Auditor never look at the internal processing. This is what the question is telling you. Internal processing is being ignored. So what do you think? What is this mechanism called? The option they have given: auditing through, auditing around, auditing, continuous audit monitoring, and finally they have given integrated test facility. Yes, this is called B, auditing around the computer. B is the correct answer. This is called auditing around the computer, which means auditor ignore internal software logic. They completely ignore the internal software logic. The focus is only on two things: input and output. And when this is called auditing around the computer, please understand the meaning. What we call it? We call it auditing around the computer, right? So focus is only on input, focus is only on output. It is used when we use auditing around the computer, when we have system very simple, system simple, and when the audit trail is clear and available. Audit trail is clear and available, then it is used. And tools to analyze source code are also not available. That is exactly what is happening in this question. If you look at the other option that they are provided, A says through the computer. See, through the computer required testing, internal control and program logic. It needs technical tool, not possible here. So in the case of through the computer, we need to test internal control, internal program logic. But that is not what is happening here. So A is wrong. What about C? C say continuous audit monitoring. See, this is an ongoing real-time audit. They use automated tools. No, not mentioned here. C is wrong. The fourth option they have given is integrated test facility. So what happened in this case, what auditor does? They insert some dummy transaction. They insert dummy transaction into live system. So we are having live system in which dummy transaction is inserted, which is not being done here. So D is also not correct. So the memory trick to remember the logic behind this question is very simple. You can remember it like this. So in, out, match, right? In, out, match, and logic ignored around. Or remember this line: if auditor check only input and only output and goes around the logic, it is auditing around the computer. Think about the black box. You cannot see what is inside, just see what goes in and what goes out, right? So remember, auditing around the computer, the keyword here is the around the computer. It focused on input and output only. Internal logic is not examined, also called black box approach, suitable for simple system and clear audit trial. I hope I have explained each and every aspect of it. So option number B is the correct answer. Now let's move our focus to the question number 2. Very good question. So what is happening here? Let's have a look. So a financial institution is using a highly complex, let me highlight the keyword. They are using a highly complex real-time system, highly complex, real-time processing system they are using. For which purpose? For international wire transfer. Fine. To check whether the system internal control are working properly, the system, there is an IS auditor. What he use? IS auditor decide to use CAAT. That's called computer assisted audit technique. Second thing, to insert dummy transaction into dummy transaction. Third thing, to run them inside the live production system. Fourth thing, along with the real transaction, to see whether programmed control detect error correctly. So that is why IS auditor decided to use the CAAT. Now the question is, this scenario is a primary example of which audit type and specific technique? Option they have given: audit through the computer using parallel simulation. Option B say audit through the computer using integrated test facility. C say audit around the computer using voucher verification, and D say audit through the computer using data extraction. This is a very good question. Let's decode the clue one by one. Let's decode it clue one by one. What it say? So first of all, we have a highly complex system. Yeah, what we are talking about is the highly complex system, right? Simple input output checking is not enough. Input output checking is not enough. Auditor must check what? Auditor must check the internal processing. In the previous case, what we are observing, it was input output, but now they are checking the internal processing. Before delving deep in detail about the question, let me introduce you to our certificate examination course in IT security. If you are looking for a single place where you get the entire content of the IT security, you can check out our course. In our course, you get separate module-wise content in the form of unit-wise theory, unit-wise MCQ. Like in module A, you can see I have segregated into total 8 units. Inside each unit folder, you get separate theory PDF, you get separate MCQs PDF. Not only that, you get previous year question paper also. You will see I have created 5 paper. I have added 5 sample paper which is collected from the aspirant who have appeared in the examination, and you can download the entire content on your PC as well as on your mobile for your offline reading purpose. You can check the more detail regarding the course in the description section of the video, or you can WhatsApp me on the number shown on the screen. Come back to the question. So let's decode the clue that they have provided one by one. First of all, this is a highly complex system. They have mentioned it now, highly complex system. Simple input output checking is not enough. Second thing, they have mentioned CAAT. It means auditor is using computer based audit technique. That's called computer assisted audit technique. Third thing they have mentioned is the dummy transaction. Dummy transaction means, okay, what does it mean? It simply means that, fake data is being created. Fake data is being created deliberately. Fourth thing they have given is the production system, or we can say process through the live production system, which is a very important clue. Dummy data is mixed with real data, right? That is what is happening now, that we are mixing the dummy and real data, isn't it? That is what is happening. And lastly, they have given verify internal program control, which means auditor is testing the authorization check, limits, validation. So based on all these clues, one thing is certain, that auditor is not going around the computer, or an auditor is going through the system logic, isn't it? All these things hint about what? All these input that they have provided, it clearly hint that, auditor is going through the system logic, isn't it? So if you look at the correct answer, that is more suitable here. Option A says auditing around the computer. See, auditing around the computer using parallel simulation, this is not the correct answer, right? B say auditing through the computer using integrated test facility. Yes, it is the correct answer. This is also called, white box approach. Sometimes in the previous case we have seen black box. This is called white box approach, right? This is called white box approach. What happened in this case? This is called auditing through the computer, which means, you know, auditor examining the internal logic. Auditor will examine the internal logic, then he will examine the program step, what are the steps in the program, and he will also see the automated control. Okay, so these three things are examined by the auditor, and this is the clear case of the, you know, auditing through the computer. And you might have heard the name of integrated test facility, also called ITF. So auditor create a dummy customer account department, pushes test transaction into the live system. What he does, you know, he create a dummy customer or account or department, right? He pushes the test transaction into the live system. He check whether the invalid transaction are being rejected or not. Whether invalid transaction are rejected, that is what he check, and he control work as designed. So this is exactly what the question described. If you look at the other option they have provided, option number A, it says auditing around the computer using parallel simulation. This is wrong. Why? Because parallel simulation means auditor use separate audit software, reprocessing data outside the live system. Here dummy data is put inside the live system. So this is not the correct answer. If you look at the option C, it says around the computer. See, it is and this is just like, you know, manual checking of document. No system logic testing happening around the computer. That's why this is not relevant here. Option D says auditing through the computer using data extraction technique. See, data extraction is analysis of an existing data. No dummy transaction is involved in the case of data extraction. That's why D is also not correct. So remember, whenever you see this word live data or live system, see the keyword that you have to see: live system plus dummy data. If you see this keyword, think about ITF. What is ITF? You know, if fake transactions are tested inside the live system to check control, that's called ITF, right? ITF means integrated test facility. Live system, dummy data, right? So what we learned from the discussion: auditing through the computer, focus on internal program logic suitable for complex system, and integrated test facility involve dummy transaction, run in live production system, it tests validity of program control. That's why option number B is the perfect answer here. Now let's switch our focus to the question number 3. This is a very good question related to ISO 270. Friends, question number 3 में कहा जा रहा है कि they are asking during a formal ISO 27001 surveillance audit. So what happened? You know, backup policy exists. Let me highlight the keyword: backup policy exists, and backup are actually being taken. Backup are being performed, but no evidence that backup restoration testing was done during the last 12 months. There has been no document evidencing that restoration test has been conducted in the last 12 months, right? So organization on procedure says that restoration test must be done every 6 months. That's called semi-annual restoration test. So, but the auditor find a gap between what is required and what is done. Yes, auditor find a gap between these two. So the question is, how should this finding be classified under ISO 19011, and what must the organization do in such case? So the question is, how should this finding be primarily classified, and what is the required organizational response? These are the two questions that has been asked here. So option they have given: observation. Option number A, observation. The organization should note that the finding for future process improvement, but is not required to take immediate action. B, measure non-conformity. The auditor must immediately suspend the certification until the restoration test is completed. C, non-conformity. The organization must identify the root cause of the failure and implement corrective action to prevent recurrence. Option D, opportunity for improvement. The auditor should suggest better software to automate the testing, and the organization may choose to ignore it. Very good question it is. So now, first of all, let's understand the step-by-step audit logic, which is a very important for the examination. This question tests your knowledge of the audit logic. So first of all, you have to identify the audit criteria, which means internal document. It is a kind of, internal documented procedure. Okay, so what it required? It required semi-annual restoration testing. Semi-annual restoration testing. Then second step is to look at the audit evidence. First of all, audit criteria. Then you look at the audit evidence, which means no documented proof of restoration test in the last 12 months. Here you can see they have mentioned that there have been no documented evidence that restoration test has been conducted in the last 12 months. So audit criteria is given, that internal documented procedure is there, semi-annual restoration, but evidence is that no documented proof. Yes, so there is no evidence. Now criteria, compare evidence versus criteria. So what we need to do, we have audit criteria, we have audit evidence. Now the third thing that we have to do is to make the comparison between criteria and the evidence. So it is quite evident that, you know, whatever was the requirement, it was not met, isn't it? Because the requirements say that you should have this audit done, semi-annual restoration testing, but you have not done that. So the requirement is not met. So therefore, it is called non-fulfillment of the requirement. This is what we call, this is called non-fulfillment of the requirement. So as per ISO terminology, this become a non-conformity, right? Please understand, this become what? This become a kind of, you know, non-conformity. Okay. So the correct answer to this question, what they have given, option number A, observation, measure non-conformity, non-conformity. Yes, this is the correct answer, right? The organization must identify the root cause of the failure and implement corrective action to prevent recurrence. So this is called non-conformity of a requirement. Requirement is the internal procedure. Fulfillment is that no evidence is available. So remember, what is the required organizational response? So for every non-conformity, whatever non-conformity is there, so this ISO, that is ISO 27001, it require correction. Yes, you have to make the correction. Correction means do the missing restoration test. What was missing? Missing thing is that you have not done the restoration test. So do it first. Second thing that you must do, you have to do the RCA, root cause analysis. Why was the test missed? Was this lack of calendar? Responsibility not defined? Third thing you have to take is the corrective action. You have to take is the corrective action, which means update tracking system, assign honor, prevent future occurrence. So merely doing the test now is not enough. To take the corrective action, you have to update the tracker system, assign honor. So what are the other options that they have provided? Option number A, observation. No. Observation means no rule broken yet, right? Here the clear rule WS was broken. Actually, the rule was broken. Observation say no rule broken. B say measure non-conformity. See, when I say measure word, now that means system failure. That is called measure. Either system failure or total breakdown. Like suppose they have given no backup policy at all, but they have mentioned that backup policy exists there. Has there been no backup policy, then it had been measure non-conformity, right? And no backup, but backup have been performed. So these things clearly indicate that this is not a measure non-conformity, right? So the only thing that was missing, that control evidence was missing. So this is a minor non-conformity. Opportunity for improvement. See, OFI means requirement has been made but can be improved. But in this particular case, what we observe is that requirement has not been made. So this is not the correct answer. So remember, just one rule I want to tell you to remember. This will help you to identify the answer. You can see, whenever the requirement is broken, let me write it down. Whenever requirement is broken, you can think of NC, non-conformity. Or if the audit evidence does not meet the audit criteria, this means non-see. One more thing that you can, how you can identify the non-conformity. You look at the audit evidence and you look at the audit criteria. If they are not matching, it clearly indicates what? Non-conformity. Okay, so don't overthink severity unless the question explicitly say the system breakdown. So what is the key learning? What we learned from this discussion is that non-conformity means non-fulfillment of requirement. It can be measured, it can be minor, it requires correction. First thing that you can do is to correct. You have to do the root cause analysis. You have to take the corrective action. And observation is the kind of potential issues, no rule broken yet. And whenever you see this word OFI, OFI means requirement has been met, efficiency can be improved. So please understand, internal procedure. So whenever you see this word internal procedure, that is audit criteria. And whenever you see this word missing document, that is non-conformity. Now friends, let's look at question number 4. Question number 4 is on your screen. Everything has been explained. And if you think that this explanation is useful for your understanding purpose, do hit the like button. Now friends, the question is, a testing team is there, a software quality assurance team is there, that is checking a new encryption module. Yeah, what they are tasked with? They are tasked with checking a new encryption module. What do the tester know? The tester know the functional requirement. The tester know the user interface. They have no access to the Java source code, and they have no knowledge of the encryption algorithm. But what they are testing input which is 16 character string, and they are also testing the output, which is an encrypted output, right? So they only check the length and the format, and they are only checking behavior. They are not checking the internal logic. The question asks, which testing category is this, and what is the major limitation? Black box, white box, integration, and I think we have discussed this question earlier. This is just a repetition. So now how to go about solving this question? Yeah. So once again, go through the concept: no encryption module, functional requirement, user interface, no access to underlying Java code, a specific mathematical algorithm. They are focusing on 16 character string procedure, right? And they are only looking at the expected length and format. So how you should think about it? Let me explain the thinking procedure, right? Step by step logic. So first question is, do the tester see the internal code? Tell me, yes or no. Do they see the internal code? The answer is no. No source code is there. No algorithm is visible. So immediate rule out the white box. In the case of white box, what happened? They should see the internal code, but they are not able to see it. So the white box is not the answer. So basically, what they are testing, what kind of testing is being done here? They are doing the input testing. They are doing the output testing. They are testing the functional behavior. So this means tester treat the system like a black box. Tester treat the system like a black box because internal logic is completely hidden. Now, what is the risk of this approach? Is there any risk involved in this approach? Yes. Risk is that tester cannot see the internal branch. If there is any internal branch, the tester cannot see it. If there is any error handling code, suppose there any error handling code, they cannot see it. They cannot also see the hidden logic path. So some bug may remain untested and undiscovered. So if you look at the option that they have provided, option number A say white box testing. No, that's wrong. Why? Because white box testing required access to code. Yeah, you must have access to the code, or you must have access to the program structure, which is not available here. So A is wrong. B says black box testing. Yes, correct. Black box testing means you have no knowledge of the source code. You have no knowledge of the internal logic. You are based entirely on the functional requirement, input, output, behavior. That's it. This is exactly what the scenario described, right? So no statement coverage, no branch coverage. Some internal error may have never be executed during testing. Yes, correct. Bug even may remain inside. B is the correct answer. What about option C? Option C, they have mentioned integration testing. What do you think about it? Is it a kind of integration testing? See, integration testing, the focus is on, interaction between multiple modules. So we are having multiple modules and we check the interaction between them, right? So what do you think? Is it happening here? The question is about testing one encryption module. In this question, we are testing only one encryption module. So this is not applicable. And what about white box testing? See, again, assume access to the code. White box always assume access to the code, right? But we do not have access. So this is also wrong. So what is the correct answer? B is the correct answer. So remember, there is a one word, you can just remember it like this. Whenever no code view, think about it. Whenever no code view, that's called black box. Okay. So another easy line to remember, if the auditor check only input output without seeing the code, think about black box, right? So black box means no source code visibility. It tests functional behavior. It is based on requirement. So that's called black box. You cannot see the source code. You cannot, you test only functional behavior. It is based on requirement. And what is the limitation of the black box? Yeah, there are limitation also. What are the limitation of the black box? Yes. So internal logic are not tested. Internal logic is never tested. That is one limitation. First limitation. Second limitation is that, some hidden error path. Hidden error path, they remain as it is. And also no access to source code. It is automatically black box. Think about it. So I hope this question is also crystal clear. Now let's look at question number 5 of today's session. So let me skip this question because again it is white box, black box. We have discussed several questions. Now let's see this very good question. Question number 6, I think. So now friends, let's come back to this question. So the organization has already completed its business impact analysis. That's called BIA. They have completed its business impact analysis. And now they are looking at RTO. That's called recovery time objective. And they are also looking at recovery point objective. So RTO means how fast the system must recover. RPO means how much data loss is acceptable. That's called RTO and RPO. They are looking at these two. They are deciding how to meet these target, right? Meet those targets. So they are comparing some options like, hot site, cold site, cloud-based applications, focusing on cost-effective solution. The question asks, which specific phase of BCDRP, business continuity disaster recovery plan, is the organization currently executing? There are some steps within the BCDRP, and the question is, which step is it executing? Project initiation and planning, strategy development, plan development and implementation, testing and maintenance. Very good question it is. Now let's think about it logically, think step by step. So basically what has been completed? Tell me, we are thinking logically step by step, and this would be your thought process. So first of all, what has been completed here? So we have seen that BIA has been completed. What is BIA? Business impact analysis has been done. So when I do the business impact analysis, so what I get to know? I get to know the critical process. Yeah, these processes are very critical. I get to know, I get to define the RTO, I get to define the RPO. So RTO, I told you, just now I told you the RTO, how fast system recover, RPO, how much data loss is acceptable. So this has been completed. Now what the team is doing now? The team is deciding the recovery method. They are deciding the recovery method. They are comparing what? They are comparing the site option available, and they are evaluating the cost versus benefit. They are evaluating it. So there are no writing procedure yet. They are just choosing the recovery strategy. Now the question is, which BCDRP phases it focus on? Right. So which BCDRP focus on recovery option? Tell me. Which BCDRP stage focus on resource selection? Which one focus on big picture decision? Tell me. The answer is, the answer to all this question is the strategy development phase. The answer is strategy development phase. So if you look at the correct answer of this question, yes, B is the correct answer. Strategy development. Fine. So when I say strategy development, it means deciding how the recovery will be achieved. Selecting either hot, cold, warm sites, backup and replication method, cloud versus on-prem solution, right? Ensuring chosen option can meet RTO, RPO, performing cost benefit analysis. So, if you look at the other steps which are involved in BCDRP, like you initiate the project. So I've listed it here, right? These are the steps. First of all, you initiate it, right? You initiate the project. This is the first step, project initiation and planning. Then we do the BIA. After that, we do the business impact analysis. After that, we do the strategy development. And this is what is happening in this question, right? Then after, we do the plan development and implementation and testing and maintenance, which is the fifth step. This is fifth. This is fourth. The strategy development is third, and initiation is first, and BIA is second. So you should know what are the steps involved in the BCDRP. You can see they are mentioned: initiation, BIA, strategy development, plan development, and testing. So these are the 5 steps involved. Okay. And RTO, RPO just now we have discussed. Now friends, let's shift our focus to the next question that they have provided. Very good question regarding ITSM framework. So what they have given, there is a multinational company. They are moving from, reactive break fix IT model. Earlier, they were having a reactive break fix IT model. Now they are shifting to a structured ITSM framework. They are shifting to the ITSM framework like ITIL. The CIO says that this is not just about fixing computer faster, it's about the service value. During implementation, what happened? The team created a centralized repository. The team stored detail of all the hardware, all the software, and they capture the interdependency. For example, if suppose server A is changed, application B may crash. That's called interdependency. Okay. So the goal is to ensure changes do not unexpectedly impact critical business service. The question asks 2 things. Which ITSM component is this? And second thing is, what is its primary business benefit? These are the 2 parts of the question. Option they have given, like it is incident management, it is a service level management, it is configuration management system, and option D say it is a problem management. And similarly, option A says that it ensures that normal service operation is restored as quickly as possible. B say it specifies the specific technical specification. C say it provides visibility into the IT infrastructure to perform accurate risk assessment. And D say it focuses on identifying the root cause of a single high priority technical failure. Now let's have a look at the step-by-step logic procedure, how to go about thinking this particular question. Think about it like this. So friends, what is the clue that they have given? Let me just highlight the clue. The first clue they have given is the centralized repository. This is the first clue. Second thing is that they store all the asset and liability, all the assets and their relationship. Yeah, they store information about all the asset and their relationship. The third clue they have given, they are used to analyze impact before making change. Yeah, you can see they have mentioned that they are used to
analyze the impact. So basically this is not a handling incident. Yeah, so let me just write it down. What are the clue they have given? First of all, they have given centralized repository, isn't it? First one. Second thing they have given is the root cause analysis. Third thing they have, sorry, no. The second thing they have given is storing asset and relationship. Third clue they have given, used to analyze what? Analyze impact. So these three clues they have given. This is not, handling incident. They have nothing to do with handling incident. Is there anything? No. This is not about the root cause analysis. This is not about SLA negotiation. So what it is all about? See, this ITSM process, they focus on what, Let me explain. This ITSM process, they focus on hardware. They focus on software. They focus on relationship between them, relationship between hardware and software, and that is what we call, configuration management. And its database is called, CMDB. What is CMDB? Configuration management database, which together form CMS. CMS means configuration management system. See how they are linked together. So what is the correct answer to this question? Yes, you are thinking it correctly. That's called configuration management system. So this is a single source of truth. It stores configuration item like server, application, hard, database, network device. It also stores the relationship. For example, this database run on this server with support payroll. What is the benefit? That there's impact analysis. Before making a change, IT can ask, if I reboot this server, which business service will be affected? It helps in risk reduction. It helps in server-centric thinking. So other option they have provided, first one is the incident management. No. Incident management focus on restoring service quickly after the failure. It's just like it does not build infrastructure visible. So the option A is wrong. B say SLM, service level management. No, SLM deals with SLA, uptime target, performance metric, not with the asset relationship. D say problem management. Problem management focus on the root cause of a recurring incident. So memory trick is that if there is any change impact, check about CMDB, configuration management system. So what asset exists? CMDB. How are they connected? CMDB. What will break if they change this? CMDB. Okay. So configuration management is also called, ITIL keyword. Senior auditor reviewing the payroll process of a multinational bank. And normally an auditor may check payslip manually and matches them with an attendance record. But here, what is happening? Instead of manually checking, the auditor use something called CAAT, computer assisted audit technique. And the tools like IDAI tool they are using, or they are using the tools like ACL tool, right? So basically they are using the automated script to find the ghost employee. The first thing, the keyword is a ghost employee, or salary mismatch, or error in the entire database. So the key point here is auditor himself is using computer software to perform the audit work, isn't it? So basically the question is, according to the classification of the audit type provided in your material, which category does this audit approach fall into? Audit around the computer, audit by the computer, audit through the computer, self-audit. Very good question. So basically, there are three kinds of computer-based audit, and that is what I'm going to tell you here. So we are talking about the computer-based audit. Different types of computer-based audit. That is what our point of discussion here is. Computer-based audit. What are the different types of computer-based audit? Let's have a look. On one side we have audit around the computer. Okay, on the middle we have audit through the computer and audit by the computer. Fine. Now here the auditor is not ignoring the system. Auditor is not testing the internal software control. Auditor is actively using the audit software to audit the data. So what is happening here, the auditor is not ignoring the system, right? So if you look at the audit around the computer, what happened, in the case of around the computer audit, basically auditor check the input, auditor check the output. That's it. That's called around. And computer working are ignored, right? Computer working, these things are ignored. So let me give you a simple example to make it more clear. So you can think of checking the printed payslip. Suppose you are checking the printed payslip. Sorry, you are checking the printed payslip with attendance manually. Checking the printed payslip with attendance manually. Okay, so this is called audit around the computer. This is not used here. This is not used here. Okay, now let's look at the next, audit through the computer. You know what is the meaning of audit through the computer? See, through means what? You know, focus is on testing the internal control. Focus is on testing the internal control. So what they do, you know, they use the test data. Okay, they use the test data. They use the dummy transaction. The goal is to see whether software logic work correctly. Whether the goal is simple, whether software logic work correctly. That is the goal. And if you look at the option, around the computer means they are looking at input and output only. Through the computer means in testing the internal control, right? And the last option they have given is the self audit. We know what is the meaning of self audit. Self audit means department check it on work. So you take any department, okay, they basically check their work. Okay, so basically internal compliance check, it's kind of internal compliance check. It is not related to audit methodology. Self audit has nothing to do with this audit methodology, please understand. Okay, it's kind of internal check. So the correct answer to the question is audit by the computer. Yes, B is the correct answer. So you can remember it like this. There is a you know, memory hack that I can provide you. You can remember it like this. By means tool use. By means tool rule, right? So whenever auditor use software, think audit by the computer. Think about like this. Whenever auditor use software, you can think of audit by the computer. Okay, so let's quickly recap the three things we have discussed. See, I told you now around the computer. Around means we are looking at input and output only. Through the computer. Mid means we are looking at the system and control. By means what? By means audit tool. Yes. So auditor are using the tool. What kind of tool they can use? They can deploy CATT. They can deploy the audit tool. Okay, that's called by the computer. So CAAT is just audit by the computer. Okay, so auditor use software tool. CAAT, like some example I can give you, like IDAI, like ACL. Full database analysis is possible using by the computer. And you know, this is used for fraud. This is used for fraud detection, ghost employee, salary error. So if the question mention script, audit software, automated analysis, directly mark audit by the computer. And if the question marks, they are looking around the computer, input and output only, then around the computer. Okay, so I hope it is crystal clear now. Option number B is the correct answer to this question. Now on your screen. So basically what this question is all about, you know, in this question we are told that there is a network engineer and basically he is facing, you know, connection problem between the system. He is facing connection issue. What kind of issue? So there is internal email server and there is an external cloud service. Fine. So the very important point they have mentioned that both systems use completely different communication protocol. Yes, these two systems use entirely different communication protocol. So to solve this, the engineer decided to install a device. They want to implement a device, and this device can translate between incompatible system. And this work mainly at an application layer, that is the layer number 7. So that's the peculiarity of this particular device. Fine. So the question is very simple, that which device does the protocol translation at the layer 7 and how it is different from the firewall. So which device is the engineer implementing and how is it different from the firewall? So basically option they have provided, the first one is repeater, firewall, gateway, and a gateway to gateway and a gateway. But the reason they have provided is different, because it's a primary role is protocol translation and system compatibility. Gateway because it differ because of the restricted strictly to layer number 3. So basically this is a very good question. So what is the role of the common network device? Basically this question revolves around the common network device. Okay, so let me discuss about it. So if you look at the role of the common network device, so there is something called, you know, repeater. Repeater is a type of, you know, common network device. Let me write it down. So what is peculiarity of the repeater? Repeater, you know, it strengthens the signal. Okay, signal strengthening. Repeater. Then we have the firewall. What firewall do? You know, firewall is the security filtering. Okay, and then we have the gateway. Gateway, what happened? You know, protocol translation. Protocol translation. So basically, these are the common network device: repeater, signal strengthening, firewall, security filtering, gateway, protocol translation. So the keyword that they have provided in this question is the different communication protocol. See the keyword. Let me highlight the keyword. Yes, the system use different communication. Giving the next explanation, let me introduce you to our certification course in IT security. So we have designed a well-defined course from where many aspirants have cracked the paper. In this course, we have included the theory and MCQ PDF, previous year question PDF. All PDFs are downloadable. You can access it on web as well as access it on mobile. So it has been divided into 4 modules. Inside module A, you will get unit-wise content, and inside each unit content, you will get separate theory PDF, separate MCQs PDF, and there are almost 1000 plus MCQs which I have added through the entire syllabus. Similarly, module B, module C, right? You can also go through the entire MCQ PDF, and many aspirants have repeated that by going through the MCQ PDF only they have cracked the paper. And then we have the previous year question paper where you get to know what kind of question have appeared in the recently held examination, and this will surely help you to figure out the topics from where questions are repeatedly being asked. You can also join our Telegram channel for more previous year based question. You can check out the link in the description section. For more detail related to the course, you can WhatsApp me on the number shown on the screen, or in the description section of this video I have provided the link to the course. Back to this question. So here the keyword, the buzzword is different communication protocol. See, different communication protocol, and second thing is a translation between these incompatible system, and the third thing is the application layer. So these are the 3 things that we need to keep in the mind. So what do you think? First option they have given is a repeater. Do you think repeater is the correct answer? See, actually you should know that which device work at which level. There are 7 level, OSI level, you know it very well. So if you look at the repeater, so these repeater, they work at the physical layer. Where they work at? They work at the physical layer, which is called layer number 1. And what they do, they regenerate signal. Repeater means they regenerate signal only, and no protocol translation happen. No protocol translation. Okay, so repeater means physical signal, they work only at the physical signal, they regenerate signal, no protocol translation happen. And remember, this repeater is used for distance. One more point I want to tell you, this is used for distance. This is not compatible. Now let's look at the option number B that they have provided. Option number B they have provided is the firewall. Do you think firewall stand appropriate here? So actually, basically we are looking for a system that translate our protocol. Let's have a look. That they have given now. They're translating between these incompatible systems. So we are looking for a device that translate the protocol. But if you look at the firewall, they do not translate. They do not translate protocol. So what they do? So basically they allow, they block, and they inspect the traffic. They allow, they block, they inspect the traffic. Even if running at layer number 7, purpose is what? Purpose is the security. So firewall is a kind of gatekeeper, not a translator. Remember, this firewall, they act like a gatekeeper. It is never a translator. Now what is the option number D they have provided? Okay, so where is the question? Option number D, C they have provided like a gateway. Yes, correct answer. And D they have provided a gateway, but restricted to layer 3 they have exclusively mentioned. But this is incorrect, because gateway mainly work at layer number 7. It does not work at layer number 3. It can span downward but not restricted to layer 3. So this statement is technically wrong. So we have seen A is wrong, B is wrong, D is wrong. So the correct answer is option C. Okay, gateway. So correct answer is option number C. I told you now, the repeater, what the repeater do? Repeater generally strengthen our signal. They work at the physical layer, that is the layer number 1. Okay, they regenerate signal only, no protocol translation. Then we look at the firewall. I told you firewall security filtering. They did not translate protocol. Even if they are running at the level number 7, the purpose is security. And option number D is also incorrect answer. So there is a memory trick that you can use to remember here all this. You can remember it like this. There is something called 3T rule for gateway. You may ask me, sir, what is this 3T rule? Yes, I will explain. 3T means what? The first T stand for translation. Sorry for my handwriting. Second T stand for two different protocol. Two different protocol being used. And the third T stands for top layer. When I say top layer, I mean to say the layer number 7. Okay, so these are the 3 rule for gateway. So just remember this point, different protocol plus layer 7 includes gateway. Translation, 2 different protocol, top layer. So what we learned from the discussion is that we talked about the gateway. What gateway do? Gateway connect different protocol translate network. Okay, we talked about the gateway right now. I told you what gateway do, they connect network using different protocol, and their main job is, protocol translation. Their gateway main job is protocol translation. This is the main job, and primarily they work at an application layer or layer number 7. Then we talked about the firewall. I told you that firewall purpose is security. Firewall, what is the purpose of firewall? Firewall purpose is security. Okay, so security, and they filter traffic using rule. So they apply a rule and thereby they filter the traffic. They do not translate the protocol. Okay, firewall never translate a protocol. Just security purpose firewall is used. So if the question mention these words, compatibility, translation, unlike system, so think about the gateway. And if the question mention blocking, filtering, security, then think about the firewall. That's it. Now have a look at the question number 3. Question number 3 is on your screen. Very good question it is. So in this question, a tier 1 bank is there who is preparing the business continuity plan. Let me highlight it, BCP. Fine. And the bank has 2 different systems. One is called, core banking system, which handle national transaction, and they need 0 data loss. They need 0 downtime. Okay. Even a few minutes of failure can cause huge disruption. Okay. So that's the point. So then this is the first thing that the tier 1 bank is doing, that they have 2 different systems. The first is called core banking system, and the second they have is called internal employee training protocol, right? So what does it mean? So this basically internal employee training protocol, they are used only for staff training. So this is being used for what? Staff training, and they can tolerate the 24-hour downtime. So obviously it is a non-critical system. So basically the question is, which of the following disaster recovery setup is the most appropriate and cost effective for these 2 specific systems? So one is the CBS and second is the internal employee training protocol. So which disaster recovery step to use? Option number A, use an upside side for CBS and mirror side for training protocol. B says use offside side for both the system. C is saying use mirror side for the CBS and offside side for training protocol. And D say use mirror side for both. So basically this question check whether you have a solid understanding of this offside side, mirror side or not. Very good question. See, if you look at this internal employee training portal, so what is the peculiarity of this? Let me write it down. Internal employee training portal. So actually, they can tolerate up to 24-hour downtime, right? They have the capacity to tolerate. Second thing, it is clearly a non-critical system. It is a kind of non-critical system. So the bank want a disaster recovery setup. Bank want a disaster recovery setup that is highly reliable for critical system. Okay, and cost effective for non-critical. So bank want to design a DR setup, and such DR setup they want to design that is highly reliable for critical system and cost effective for non-critical system. What the key concept we have to apply? So remember, in the case of BCP, business continuity plan, not all systems need the same level of protection. Okay, some common disaster recovery site are mirror site and offsite site. These are the common disaster recovery site. So when we talk about this mirror site, please understand they are the fastest and they are the costliest. And when we look at the offsite site, they are the slower and cheaper. Fine. So we must match the site with the system criticality. Now let's look at the first option that we have. That's called CBS. CBS means core banking solution. So it is a kind of mirror site, right? So when I say mirror site, what is the peculiarity of this mirror site? That it is basically fastest and costliest. Mirror site means real-time data duplication. Duplication, that to real time. That's the peculiarity of the mirror site. Second thing, immediate recovery. Okay, and third thing is zero downtime. Okay, so yes, it is expensive, but for a bank core operation, this is a mechanical necessity. So it is the best choice for mission critical system. Yes, please understand. This is the best choice for mission critical system. We are talking to the context of mirror site. Okay, let me write it down. Mirror site. So it means real time data duplication. It means immediate recovery. It means zero downtime. Expensive. Yes, but for a bank core operation, this is the necessity. So best choice for mission critical system. Now training portal. Let's look at the second part of the picture. Training portal. So training portal. So they are data updated periodically. Okay, daily or weekly. Recovery can take an hour or even a day. And it is much cheaper as compared to mirror site. So yes, it is a perfect choice when some downtime is acceptable. Suppose some downtime is acceptable, then this is a perfect choice. And cost saving is very important. So if you look at the option number C, what they have provided. Now let's look at the option wise. Option number A says that use offsite for the CBS and mirror site for the training portal. So CBS will suffer huge downtime and mirror for portal is waste of money. So dangerous and illogical. Now option number B says that offsite for both. So this is the cheapest option, but risking the core business not acceptable for tier 1 bank. And it is cost effective but business ineffective. What about C? Yes, correct. C is the perfect one. What about D? D says mirror. See, ensure maximum availability, but unnecessarily expensive. For staff training portal, you did not need the mirror site. It is technically good but financially inefficient. So we have to you have to take our finance into also consideration, right? So remember, the rule is that if anything is critical, then mirror rule. Critical is equal to mirror. This rule you have to keep in the mind. So if there is any mission critical system, let me write it down. If there is any, sorry for my handwriting, mission critical system, so that is called, mirror site. And if there is a non-critical system, then that is called, offsite site. So this thing must be clear. So mirror site means real time duplication, near zero downtime, very expensive, and offsite site just now we have discussed. Now have a look at the question number 4. Very good question. Under the provision of the Information Technology Act and the regulatory guideline for digital signature certificate, which of the following statement is legally accurate regarding the foreign CA and responsibility of a subscriber? Certifying authority. So option A, the CCA can recognize a foreign CA independently without any external approval to facilitate the international trade. B says a subscriber is only responsible for the use of their DSC. C says CCA can cancel the recognition of a foreign CA after recording the region. D says document digitally signed by a subscriber are considered secondary evidence and are not as legally binding as a physical handwritten signature. These are the 4 options that they have provided, and you have to select the correct option. So this question is based on the IT Act, Digital Signature Certificate, and the role of CCA. So what is the full form of CCA? CCA is called, let me write it down, Controller of Certifying Authority. Controller of Certifying Authority. That is the full form of CCA. And DSC, I think you know it very well, Digital Signature Certificate. They have mentioned it. And foreign CA, that's called Foreign Certifying Authority. Let me write it down. Foreign Certifying Authority. And subscriber are the user of the DSA. They are the user, end user. So the question is asking which statement is legally correct under IT Act provision. So we must carefully check the power of CCA, responsibility of a subscriber, and legal value of a digital signature. Right, option I think I have read that CCA can recognize foreign CA independently. These are the 4 options. Now let's what are the key concepts to recall? Before answering these questions, there are some key concepts to recall. So remember, under the IT Act, okay, CCA, they require what? They require certifying authority. And any kind of foreign CA, they need recognition. Any kind, subscriber. What subscriber need? The subscriber own and subscriber protect their private key. Subscriber own and protect their private key. And one more thing here, that digital signature are legally valid. Okay, now let's look at the option that they have. So option number A says that What is the option number A? That CCA can recognize a foreign CA independently without any external approval. So if you look at this option, this is incorrect option. Why it is incorrect? Because central government approval is mandatory. They say without any external approval. No. Central government approval is mandatory. CCA can never act independently. The word is independent. No. This requires the central government approval. Is mandatory. Option number B says that subscriber is only responsible for the use of their DSC while CA on the private key. Actually, this is a wrong assumption. Why? Because subscriber is the rightful owner of the private key. Yes, subscriber, I told you, CCA is the certifying authority. Foreign CA is the recognition. This subscriber protect the private key. He is the owner of the private key. So he must protect it from misuse. Subscriber must protect the private key from the misuse. He must inform CA immediately if any compromise happen. So this is the responsibility of the subscriber in whose hand private key is given, that he should inform the CA, certifying authority, immediately, that there is a compromise done with my private key. Okay, so option B, what it says, that the subscriber is only responsible for use of DSC. No. Option number D, if you look at, it says that document is signed digitally by subscriber are considered secondary evidence. Actually, it's completely incorrect. Digitally signed documents are legally binding. They are not considered the secondary evidence. They are legally binding, and they are equivalent to the handwritten signature. Same legal value in the court. This is also wrong. Correct answer is option number C. Okay. So please remember that CCA can cancel the recognition of a foreign CA after recording the session. 100% accurate. So what happened? Foreign CA, I told you, foreign CA recognition, they are holding for recognition, and CCA certifying authority. So CCA, they can recognize a foreign CA, but recognition require prior approval of the government. So they have to take the approval of the government. Suppose if the foreign CA, foreign certifying authority, they violate any condition, they violate any term, in that case what CCA will do? They will cancel its recognition, and they must record the reason. What was the reason? They must record in writing. Okay, so this is the reason. Fine. This power is clearly provided under the IT Act. So yes, if you look at the option that we have, A is incorrect because central government approval is mandatory. They say that independently without any external, wrong. And B is incorrect because subscriber is only responsible. No. Subscriber is the rightful owner of the private key. C, if you look at, yes, correct. And D, if you look at, digitally signed document are secondary evidence. No, that's wrong. So you can remember the learning of this question like this. You can remember it like this. 3C rule. 3C rule for whom? 3C rule for foreign CA, foreign certifying authority. First of all, CCA will recognize it. Second thing, central government will approve it. And third point, CCA can cancel. Okay, CCA can cancel. So question, who own the DSC? Who own the DSC? So DSC is owned by the subscriber. You remember it. So foreign CA recognition, CCA plus central government cancellation, CCA reason must be recorded. So why they have cancelled the subscription of a foreign CA, the reason must be recorded. Subscriber responsibility on the private key, must protect it, must inform CA if compromise happen. These are the point to keep in the mind. Now let's look at the next question that we have. So this particular table clearly explains each and everything, and this is available in our PDF. Now again, I think this question is also related to CCA. Very good question related to CCA. Basically what they are asking, that renewal of the license. So basically this question is about the renewal of its license and of a certifying authority. And authority involved, CCA. And the administrative hierarchy under the IT Act. So the situation is like this. There is a private organization is already working as a CA, certifying authority. Its license is about to expire. It want to renew the license to continue issuing DSC for online banking. So the question is, what is the correct legal procedure and authority involved in the license renewal? Situation is like, there is a private organization. They are already working as a CA. Its license is about to expire. It want to renew the license to continue using DSC. So what is the correct legal procedure? So remember, option they have given, the license is renewed by the CCA directly upon application made 30 days before expiry. Deputy and assistant controller are independent of the CCA and report directly to the Ministry of Finance. The application for a license renewal must be made to the central government in a prescribed format at least 45 days before the current license expire. The CCA is primarily responsible for issuing DSC to individual bank customer or subscriber directly. So basically, before answering this question, let us look at what IT Act has in place for this such kind of provision. So remember, under the IT Act, CCA regulate and supervise the CA. That's why it's called Chief Controlling CCA. So what the CCA do? They regulate and supervise the CA. And central government grant and renew the CA license. So CA license is renewed and granted by the government, that to central government. Okay, and one more thing I want to tell you, that renewal has a clear time limit. This renewal, they have a time limit. If you look at the option that they have provided, so option number A says that the license is renewed by the CCA directly upon an application made 30 days before expiry. What do you think? Is it correct? See, license is renewed by the CCA directly 30 days before expiry. This is incorrect. Why? Why it is incorrect? Let me write it down. This is incorrect. Option number A is incorrect because timeline is 45 days. Timeline is not 30 days. So renewal is done by the central government, not directly by CCA. Remember, timeline is 45 days and not 30 days. And who does the renewal? Renewal is done by the central government. CCA does not do the renewal. Option number B, deputy and assistant controller are independent of the CCA. So this is the wrong hierarchy. Actually, deputy and assistant controller, they work under the CCA. They assist the CCA. They are not independent authority. B is wrong. So what about D? CCA is primarily responsible for issuing DSC to individual bank customer. Conceptually, it is wrong. CCA does not issue DSC. DSC is issued by the license certifying authority, CA. CA issued DSC. Okay. CCA only regulate and supervise. Okay, so this is also wrong. What about C? That the application for the license renewal must be made to the central government in a prescribed form. Correct. At least 45 days before the current renew expire. Yes, correct. C is the correct one. So what is our learning? What is key learning from this particular question is that, there is something called, 45 CG rule. So it says that, 45 days before expiry. 45 days before expiry, central government approval. Okay, so whenever you see this word renewal of CA license, think about it. Whenever you see this word, what is the word? Let me write it down. Renewal of CA license. Okay, think about 45 days plus think about the central government. That's it. So remember, CCA is the controller. CCA is not an issuer. CCA controls. CCA never issue. Who issued DSC? CA issued DSC. CCA act like an RBI. Okay, so DSC is issued by Digital Signature Certificate issued by CA, certifying authority. CCA only supervise this CA. Okay, so CA license renewal, apply 45 days before expiry. Application made to the central government in prescribed format. And this deputy and assistant controller, they report to CCA and CCA regulate the CA. So I hope every aspect I have touched in this particular question. So friends, we have more question available and the
5 RAID 10. So this is the protection available. So the first one is mirroring, right? The first protection is mirroring and the second protection we have is striping. So what is mirroring? So it is like, taking a photocopy, right? You are taking photocopy of every pages. And what is striping? It's like, dividing chapter between two chapters, dividing chapters, right? Between two scribes, right? Why? To write faster. So what RAID 10 does? RAID 10 does both together. Both these things are done together by the RAID 10, right? So first thing is mirroring, right? So what is the meaning of mirroring? So mirroring, mirroring means every disk has its twin, right? Mirroring means every disk has its twin. That is called mirroring. Okay. So an exact copy. If one disk fail, that the twin keep everything safe. And the second thing that is done is striping. Striping means now these mirrored pair are arranged so that data is split across them. So whatever mirrored pair are there, they are arranged. Why they are arranged? So they are arranged because data is split across them. data is split across them. That's why they are arranged, right? So this make, you know, reading and writing much faster. So what you get? You get higher speed, you get high fault tolerance. So see, because of this striping, you know, because of this striping, you get high speed, and also you get high fault tolerance because of the mirroring. So you know, mirroring is also happening, right? So mirroring, because of the mirroring, you know what you are getting. So because of mirroring, you are getting high fault tolerance, right? Fault tolerance. And also because of striping, you are getting high speed. So why it need at least 4 disks? One more thing is that it need at least 4 disks. So 2 disks are needed for 1 mirror pair, right? 2 disks are needed for 1 mirror pair, and another 2 disks are needed for second mirror pair, right? And you know, these pair are striped. These pair are striped, right? So minimum 4 disks are required. As you can see, minimum 4 disks are required. Now next point is 50% usable capacity. 50% usable capacity. So what does it mean? So half the disks are used only to store copies, right? Half disks are used to store copies, right? Suppose you have 4 terabyte total. You have 4 terabyte total. So only 2 terabyte will be usable. Only 2 terabyte will be usable. So now let's see the option that they have given you: RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 10, RAID 10. So what do you think? So if you talk about RAID 0, so it is used only for striping. It is used only for striping. It is super fast, and you know, zero fault tolerance, no fault tolerance, right? If one disk dies, everything gone. Then we have RAID 1. So RAID 1 is only for mirroring, right? High safety. It ensures high safety, and also no speed boost from striping, and you know, still 50% capacity. 50% capacity. What about RAID 5? RAID 5 includes both striping plus parity, right? And good balance. Obviously it has a good balance, right? But are not as fast or as fault tolerance as RAID 10. The correct answer is RAID 10, right? So as we have discussed, RAID 10, what is happening here? That 1 then 0, right? So first of all, what it does mirroring first. After mirroring, they stripe, right? So 10 is now, you can remember it like this: 10 is now base of 1 plus base of 0. This way you can remember. So RAID 1 is regarding the safety. So if you talk about safety point of view, then RAID 1. RAID 0 is regarding the speed, super fast. And RAID 10 is both combined. Speed and safety both are combined. So what we learn from this discussion is that, you know, whenever we talk about RAID, it combines both the elements. What are the elements? Mirroring and striping, right? And it required minimum 4 disks. Minimum 4 disks are required. It provides high performance and high fault tolerance. And I told you, only 50% is the usable capacity. Of the total capacity are usable. I hope this is clear. RAID 0, high speed. RAID 1, basically this is for, if we talk about RAID 1, this is for, you know, safety. And RAID 10, do combination of both. Now the next question is, what type of rootkit is considered the most difficult to detect and remove because it modifies core operation, system component such as kernel module or system call, right? So which type of rootkit is considered the most difficult to detect? That's the question. Option they have mentioned you: user model, kernel model, memory rootkit, or bootnet, right? So that is the question. Now friends, let's talk about this. So you can think of this operating system. So this question pertains to the operating system. You know, you can think of the operating system like a multi-story building. You can think of the operating system like, you know, multi-story building, right? So the top floor, you know it very well, OS layer we are talking about, operating system. So top floor is what? So top floor is the user area. When I say user area, it means, you know, apps, programs, etc. And when you see the basement, that is system core. That is system core, and that is what we call kernel. Now imagine a thief is hiding. Imagine that this is a multi-story building and there is a thief. There is a thief who is hiding. If he hide on the top floor, suppose he hide on the top floor, what will happen? Security can catch him easily. He will get catch easily. By whom? by security. But if he digs a tunnel into the basement, suppose he digs a tunnel in the basement, right? He can control doors, he can control cameras, he can control alarms, everything. So that is what kernel model rootkit does. So over here the key point is, kernel model rootkit. Right. So that is what it does. What it does, it enters the deepest and the most powerful part of the operating system, that is called kernel. Right. So it can do in the kernel, it can secretly modify the kernel module system called device driver. So this let it hide process, hide file, hide register entry, turn off antivirus, hide other malware. Basically, it becomes the boss of the operating system. It becomes boss of the operating system, right? So another question is why it is hard to detect. Yeah, this is a very pertinent question. Why it is hard to detect? So you know it very well because antivirus tool depends on the kernel to tell them the truth, right? So this antivirus tools depends on the kernel. Why? To tell the truth, right? So, but if the kernel itself is infected, suppose kernel is infected, what will happen? It can lie, and it can hide the malware. First of all, it will lie, it will hide the malware, and it will pretend that everything is clean. So that is why, kernel model rootkit are considered among the most dangerous and hardest to remove. Even removing them incorrectly can cause system crash, corrupted OS, and complete boot failure. Now let's come back to this question. So the question is, this is regarding the, rootkit only. So the option they have, question was, which type of rootkit considered the most difficult to detect and remove because it modifies the core operating system? So the answer is, kernel model rootkit. Right. What about option A, user model rootkit? Actually, it works in the user space. As I told you, the top floor. Right. It works in the user space, and it has limited power. And antivirus can see it more easily. So it can be easily be detected by the antivirus. Right. Much easier to remove. And if you talk about the memory rootkit, just remember it. So, this live only in RAM, random access memory. Disappear after rebooting. After you reboot it, it will disappear. And it is not persistent like a kernel model. What about bootkit? So bootkit, it in fact boots loader or firmware. It in fact boots loader or what, firmware get infected. Right. Very persistent, but it does not modify kernel runtime behavior the way kernel model does. So the final answer to this question is option number B. So one way to remember it like this, let me give you a way to remember. You can think of this kernel as a king, right? A rootkit in the kernel become king of the system. So this rootkit, this rootkit become the king of the system, right? So controlling everything. K for kernel, K for Kamina, hard to catch. Just a word to remember, right? Just a fun recall line for a student. K for kernel, K for Kamina, right? So kernel model rootkit lives in ring number 0. If you talk about the OS layer, just remember it lies in the ring number 0. That is the OS layer, operating system layer. It can modify system call, driver, kernel module. It can hide file, it can hide process, logs, and other malware. It is very hard to detect because it controls what the OS report. Wrong removal can crash the system. User modification examination in IT and security. So if you want unit-wise lecture of the entire syllabus as per the IIBF, you can check out our course on certification examination in IT security. You can see we have divided the entire syllabus in 4 modules, module A, B, C, and D. If you go through module A, so there are unit-wise classification like module A have unit 1 to unit 8 PDF, and inside each folder you will get one theory PDF, one MCQ PDF. So theory folder consists of all the important theory related to that particular topic in the point-wise format, as you can see. And similarly, MCQs cover all the possible MCQs based on those theory. So this will help you revise the entire content in very easy manner. And separately also we have added a separate folder for previous year question paper, so that you can check out the memory based question with just eye and smart observation. Right. So what attacker try to steal? Attacker try to steal the ATM pin, mobile unlock pattern, password, credit debit card detail, OTP, you type, email login credential. They may stand close or they may use reflection, small cameras, binocular from distance. Right. So typical place where shoulder surfing is being done, like ATM. You can see ATM, airport where waiting areas, cafes, cyber cafe, train station, offices with public cubicle. So If you look at the other option that we have, the first one they have given is phishing. What do you think about phishing? So basically, phishing is fake email or website, right? They trick victim into clicking or entering the data. That is called phishing. It is not visual observation. Here the point is visual observation, right? So phishing is not, visual observation. First thing. Second thing is they have mentioned is key logging. So key logging is the software or hardware that record key strokes, right? These are software or hardware. Basically, they record the key strokes. Okay, so they require malware or a physical device, not watch someone type. And if you talk about the smishing, so smishing is, SMS based phishing. SMS based phishing, fake text message asking for detail, no visual spying involved. So please remember, shoulder surfing means someone looking often over your shoulder. If someone is too close, your information goes, right? So that is what shoulder surfing is all about. It means stealing information by watching your screen or watching your keypad. A low-tech social engineering attack, very less technology is used, and social engineering attack it happen in public place where when people type the sensitive information. It does not require any hacking tool, right? Please remember these points. Now have a look at the next one. The next question is on your screen. Which of the following best describe a seaming attack in cybersecurity? So the question is all about, seaming attack in cybersecurity. Option they have given that it uses social engineering to trick user into revealing password through fake login page. B says it inserts a thin layer of malicious code between software component or system interface to intercept or alter the data. C says it rely on brute force encryption key using high performing computer. And D says it in fact the bootloader or firmware to survive OS reinstallation. So what this seaming attack is all about. So let me give you one example to make it more clear. Imagine that two friends are there. Two friends are passing note in a class. Two friends are passing notes in a class. Now what happened? Person A, he write the message and person B, he receive it. Person A write, person B receive. Now think of an attacker who quietly slip a thin transparent sheet between them. So now the third person come who is an attacker, and what he does, he slips a transparent sheet. He slips a transparent sheet between them. So this particular sheet, they can read the note, or they can change the note, or they can copy it, right, without either friend knowing that. So that particular thin sheet is what we call, SIM. So that thin sheet is called SIM. So in cybersecurity, a seaming attack work exactly like that. So that thin sheet which the attacker slips between them is called SIM. And in cybersecurity, seaming attack work exactly like that. Now the question is what actually happened in the case of seaming attack. So attacker insert a thin layer of malicious code between an application and the operating system, an app and an API, system call and lower level component, right? So between the application, what it does, between the application and operating system, they attack, basically attacker insert a thin layer of malicious code. Between the app and the API, right, they insert a thin layer of malicious code. Between the system call and low level component, similar thing is inserted. So the middle layer pretend to be normal, but secretly intercept the data, modify the data, steal the sensitive information, changes how the software behave. It looks legitimate and mimic the normal system component. So why it works so well? Because SIM were created by Microsoft for compatibility fixes. Yes, Microsoft itself created the SIM. Microsoft created the SIM for what? For compatibility fix. Right. So meaning that Windows already expects SIM. Antivirus tools sometimes trust them. Malicious SIM blend into the system. Right. So this make them stealthy, effective and hard to catch. So we have different kinds of SIMing like software SIMing, hardware SIMing, that is called simmering, APT level SIMing, that's different thing. So let's look at the option that they have given you. So option number A says that using a social engineering to trick user into revealing password. That is called, phishing. That is not called simming, that's called phishing. It uses fake email, fake website, no code insertion, no layer between component. So option A is wrong. What about B? Yes, B is the correct one. B is the correct one. What about C? It rely on brute force encryption key using high performance computing. Actually, this is regarding the brute force encryption key. So basically it uses high computational power. This is not related to inserting layer or intercepting the layer. So C is not the correct answer. What about D? It in fact the bootloader or firmware to survive OS reinstallation. So that is called, boot kit. This is called boot kit. So they infect the bootloader or firmware. They help malware survive OS installation. So option number D is also wrong, right? So the final answer to this question is option number B. So you can think of this SIM as, you can think of this SIM as thin middle layer. Thin middle layer, right? So whenever you hear simming, think about a sneaky layer inserted in the middle to spy or to modify, right? So what we learn from this discussion is that, simming means adding a thin malicious layer between the system component, and it is used to intercept, modify or steal the data. They mimics the legitimate system fix, harder to detect. Please remember this point. Now the second question they have mentioned is that, basically which of the following statement best describe the purpose of COVID framework developed by ISSCA, right? So option they have mentioned, it is a technical cybersecurity standard focusing only on network security control. It is a global framework for IT governance that align enterprises IT process with business goal. It is certification program used solely for cloud computing audit. And D says it is a tool designed only for vulnerability scanning and penetration testing. So the question revolves around, purpose of the COVID. And who developed this COVID framework developed by ISSCA. That's the question. So basically you can think of it, let me give you one example to make it more crystal clear. So you can think of the company like a big machine, right? So you can think of the company like a big machine. So the business side want, business side want profit, business side want growth, business side want risk reduction, cyber security, and the IT side, IT side they work with system. IT side they work with system, they work with server, they work with control, they work with data and cyber security. Other than these, often these two don't speak the same language. Business side want profit growth, less risk, and IT side work with system, data and basically server, data, cyber security. And both the side don't speak the same language. So COVID act like a translator and supervisor. So between these two, on one side we have business, on one side we have IT. So in between them, COVID act like a translator and supervisor, helping both the side work together. So it tells an organization how to govern IT, how to manage IT, how to make sure that IT actually support the business goal, and how to measure performance, how to optimize risk versus value. So all these things can be known from the COVID. That is why COVID is used worldwide. It ensures that IT is not just running, but running with purpose. So two words are there. One word is just running, and the other word is running with purpose. So basically this is what is ensured. Running with purpose is ensured, right? So COVID provide 40 governance and management objectives arranged under 5 main domains: EDM, APO, BAI. Let me just write it down. So COVID, they just provide how many? 40 governance and management. 40 governance and management objectives are there, right? And under 5 major domains. The first one is EDM. EDM means evaluate, direct and monitor. Second one is APO. APO means align, plan, organize. Third one is BAI, which is build, acquire, implement. Fourth one is DSS, which is deliver service support. Fifth one is MEA. MEA means monitor, evaluate, access. So COVID integrate with other framework like ISO, ITIL, NIST. Now if you look at the other option that we have, so option number A says technical network security standard. It's saying technical cyber security standard. Actually this is wrong, because COVID is not about only cyber security or network. It is broad. It is focused on governance, not just technical control, right? It is not limited to technical cyber security. It is just broad. In the broad sense, it focused on governance. It is focused on governance and not just technical control. What about option B? Option B is the correct one. It is a global framework that align IT need process with business goal. Exactly, linking both of them, right? Then it's talking about the certification program. As you can see, no. Actually, ISSCA does not offer certification, right? But COVID itself is not a certification. ISSCA does offer certification. ISSCA offers certification like CISA, like CISM, like CRISC. So these are the certification courses which are offered by ISSCA. But the COVID is not a certification. What about option D? It says a tool, pen testing or vulnerability tool. It is always saying penetrating or vulnerability tools. Actually, COVID does not scan vulnerabilities or perform penetration. It guides how IT should be governed and managed. So the final answer is option number B. Yes, B is the correct one. So just remember one trick I tell you to remember this COVID. It is just like this, because COVID question is asked every year. So you must know what is a COVID. Control objective for information and related technology. So control plus business plus technology. Right. This way you can remember. Control plus business plus technology. Right. So control objective for information and related technology. It helps control IT and so it support the business. And one more thing is that COVID is IT governance GPS. This way you can also remember. IT governance GPS. This is what COVID is all about. So what we learned is that, from this discussion is that basically COVID is ISSCA global IT governance framework. It aligns IT process with business goal. It provides 40 objectives and 5 domains are there. So these are the 5 domains. The name is written here: EDM, APO, BAI, DSS, MEA. It is not a certification, not a technical tool, not limited to just cybersecurity. Now, one more question I think is based on COVID and ICSA. Let's have a look. So the question is, which COVID domain is responsible for serving, setting a strategic decision, ensuring value delivery, and monitoring risk or monitoring compliance, basically performing the core governance role in the framework. That is what the question is. APO, align, plan and organize. BAI, build, acquire and implement. Evaluate, direct and monitor. EDM, and monitor, evaluate and access. MEA. So friends, let's try to understand. You can think of the company like a cricket team. So let me give you just one example to make it crystal clear. So you can think of the company like a cricket team. Someone must evaluate the team needs, right? What are the requirement of the teams? What are the strength of the teams? What are the weakness of the team? Evaluation must be done, right? So, and someone must direct which player to pick, how to strategize, right? So it also be decided that which player to pick, how to strategize, and someone must monitor whether performance is actually improving or not. Basically, someone is required for all these 3 activities. So the top level selection making is exactly what EDM does in COVID. Please understand. So here we are focused on, top level decision making. So who does it? Basically, it is exactly what EDM does in the case of, COVID. Decide what direction IT should follow. Yes. So EDM decide, let me just write it down. What EDM does, it decide the direction. It decide the direction. It ensures that IT deliver values to whom? To the business. EDM ensure. It monitor the risk. It monitor the performance. And it also monitor the compliance. So it sit at the top layer above all the management activity. So it evaluate, it direct, it monitors. Evaluate what? Evaluate, understand the stakeholder needs. Review strategic option. Identify risk and opportunity. That's what it evaluation. Direct means what? Set IT strategy. Prioritize investment. And monitor means track the performance. Ensure compliance. Check risk level. So if you look at the other option that we have, APO. APO means align, plan and organize. This is the management domain. This is the management domain. It converts a strategy into plan, budget structure, but it does not set high level governance structure. That's why A is wrong. What about B? BAI, build, acquire and implement. It handles project delivery, system development and change management. It focuses on execution, not the governance. What about EDM? Yes, EDM is the correct one. Evaluate, direct and monitor. Right. EDM is executive decision making, or the top bosses deciding the direction. Evaluate, direct and monitor. That is what EDM is all about. And the last option they have mentioned is MEA. No, that's wrong. Monitor, evaluate and assess is wrong. Because performing audit, performance check and compliance assessment does monitoring, but only on management activity, not a strategic direction. So what we learned from this discussion is that, EDM is the only governance domain in COVID. In the COVID, the only governance domain, which is the only governance domain in COVID, this is EDM. Just remember it. Right. EDM is the only governance domain in COVID. It set a strategy, it ensures value delivery, it monitor risk and compliance. APO, BAI, DSS, MEA, they are management, not governance. And COVID always separate governance from management. I already told you. 2 things are there. One thing is governance, other thing is management. COVID also always maintain the separation between these 2 elements. And EDM is it ensures value delivery, monitor risk and compliance. All these tasks are performed by EDM. Now have a look at the next question. The question is, which testing technique is most commonly associated with black box testing? Yes, this is the question. black box testing? Because it focuses on testing the boundaries of input ranges where defects frequently occur. So black box testing is all about. So option they have given, basically code coverage analysis, boundary value analysis, static code review, and control flow testing. So which testing technique is linked with black box testing? Before we jump into the answer, let's understand this is the simplest way possible. So I'm providing you just one example to make it clear what this black box testing is all about. Think of the software input. So just a way to remember this black box input testing. You can think of the software input like a door. And most people expect problem to happen inside the house. But actually, the door, or we can say the boundary, either you call it the door or you call it the boundary, right, is where the most mistake happen. Most mistake happen at the door or the boundary. For example, if a form asks you to enter age between 18 and 60, the risky point are 17, the risky point are 18 minimum, risky point are 60, risky point are 61. So these ages, these boundaries are where developer often make small mistakes, right? Here developer often make small mistakes at these ages or boundary. So what tester does, the tester, they use a special technique. Tester use a special technique to check these critical age point. To check these critical age point, tester use a special technique. And that technique is what we call, boundary value analysis. This is called, boundary value analysis. So this is a classical, or in short we call it, BVA. This is the classical black box testing method because the tester does not need to know the code. They only care about the input range and its limit. So they have nothing to do with the code. They only care about what? They only care about the input range and its limit. That's why if you look at the option that they have given you, option is a code coverage analysis. No. Yes, B is the correct one. Boundary value analysis. So if you look at the code coverage analysis, that is, white box technique. If the question is regarding the white box technique, that would be the answer. It measures how much code is executed during testing. C says a static code review. Actually, this is not black box at all. It requires reading the code manually. Here the tester see the code. So it is not a boundary based black box testing. What about control flow testing? Again, white box testing, right? It studies the flow or path of the program to the source code. So just way to remember it like this. Boundary break the app. Just remember it. Boundary, what it does, it break the app, right? So boundary value analysis save the app. Range ka king BVA, or where limit matter, BVA is the better, right? Useful for your English audience. So wherever limit is better, BVA is better. Limit matter, BVA will be better. So like if you look at the other option they have mentioned, just now I told you that black box means no code is seen, focus on the input. It just means you cannot see the code, you just focus on the input. Boundary value analysis test minimum, maximum and just around them. And most bugs hide at the boundary, we know it very well. So BVA is super effective technique. Other option are white box or code based, not black box. Now the next question they have given is that, let me show you, that which spoofing technique manipulate network table on a local LAN so that, the attacker can interpret or redirect traffic between devices by associating their MAC address. DNS spoofing, ARP spoofing, IP spoofing, email spoofing. Very good question. So basically to understand this easily, let's break it down. First of all, let's understand the basic concept and then we will go to the question. Imagine that you are in a society. Suppose that you live in a society and there are many flats, right? Each flat, suppose take the flat as IP address, right? Each flat belongs to a specific person. Each flat belongs to a specific person. That is called, MAC address. So flat IP address, flat you can treat like IP address and a specific person is like MAC address. Now imagine there is a thief who level his face as your flat number on the building list. Who level his face as your flat number on the building list. So whenever the watchman send any delivery or communicate mean for you, it actually get delivered to the thief first. Right? Why? Because he level his face as your flat number on the building list. So whenever any person or any watchman or any he send any delivery or communication mean for you, it reaches the theft first. It will reach the theft first. This is exactly what happened in the ARP spoofing. ARP spoofing. right? That is called, address resolution protocol. The full form is address resolution protocol. It maps the IP address to MAC address. So it links flat number to person name. In ARP spoofing, the attacker send fake ARP message and says, so what happened, in the ARP spoofing, address resolution protocol. What happened, ARP spoofing we are talking about. So in this case, what happened? That basically the attacker, suppose this is the attacker, and he sent the fake ARP message and says that, hey network, my MAC address is equal to victim IP address. He says that my MAC address is equal to victim IP address. He says so, right? Device believe this lie and update their ARP table. Now all the traffic meant for the victim goes to the attacker first. This allow man in the middle attack. You know about MITM attack? Yes, this allow it. This allow intercepting or modifying data, hijacking session, stealing password or cookies. And because ARP work only inside a local LAN, this attack is very common in Wi-Fi network. That's why the correct answer to this question is, option number B. That is called ARP spoofing. If you talk about the DNS spoofing, this redirect user to fake website by altering the DNS record. It redirect them into fake website. Right. What about IP spoofing? Here attacker fake the source of fake the source of IP address. Right, in the packet. And what about email spoofing? So email spoofing, it is used in phishing. Right. It has nothing to do with the network table or ARP. It is used in phishing. So just remember, ARP means address replace protocol. Just way to remember it. Address replace protocol. Not real name but perfect for memory. Or MAC attack, that is ARP attack. Or ARP attack happen when Wi-Fi is local. Whenever Wi-Fi is local, public place, ARP attack will happen. So it is the address replace protocol, and MAC attack, that is ARP attack. So ARP connect IP to MAC on a local network. What it does, it connect IP to MAC on a local network. IP is just like I given you example, flat number, and MAC is your person living address. So it connect IP to the MAC, and ARP spoofing attacker lie about MAC address to steal the traffic. It is used for MITM, session hijack, and data theft. Now, one question is based on match the following type. On one side, they have given you the OSI layer, and on the other side, we have given you the function. Like list A OSI layer, presentation, transport, network, data link, and B, they have mentioned the function like route packet using logistic addressing, perform encryption, decryption, and data format translation, provide reliable, fast end-to-end delivery, handle framing, MAC addressing, and local error detection. So you have to link. The 4 options have been given: 1C, 2B, 3A, 4D, and likewise 4 options they have mentioned. How do you go about solving it? So friends, we need to match OSI layer with their correct function. So let's start with the presentation layer. So you can think of the presentation layer. You can think of the presentation layer as the translator of the network world. Just like how you convert a movie file from MKV. Suppose you convert moving file from MKV to MP4, right? Or you unzip or zip a file, or you encrypt or decrypt a message. All of that work happen at the presentation layer. All these things happen at the presentation layer. So that you can think of it like translator. Now, transport layer. So let's just match it. So presentation layer is just, just I told you, translator. So which option thing? Routes packet, perform encryption, provide reliable fast to end, handle framing. So I think it will be B, perform encryption, decryption, and data format translation. Yes. So 1B. Now the second thing they have given is transport layer. So transport layer, like imagine that you are sending a courier, right? Imagine that you are sending a courier, right? So you want, reliable delivery. Obviously you want reliable delivery, and that is what is happening through transfer control protocol. You want fast delivery. So that is what is happening through UDP. So that is exactly what transport layer does. It ensures that your data reaches from source to destination with reliability, like TCP, and fast with speed, that is UDP. So if we link one with two, so you can see transport layer. So transport layer it is linked to what? It is linked to C. Transport layer will be linked to C. So what is C? Provide reliable fast end-to-end delivery, that is TCP UDP. So 2 linked to C. What about 3? 3 is the network layer. Network layer is routing with IP address, right? Route packet using logical addressing. So 3 will be linked to A, right? So 3 will be linked to A. If we talk about the network layer, so what network layer is all about? So network layer means Google map of the internet. Network layer is the Google map of the internet. It decides which route to take. Using what logical address. It forward packet from one network to another through the router. So this is network number 1, this is network number 2, and it is forwarded through router, right? So that is what network layer is all about, routing with IP address. So 3 will be linked to routing packet using logical address IP. And the fourth one is data link layer. So data link layer means, this layer work on your local network, like your LAN, like your, Wi-Fi. This work on your local network like LAN or Wi-Fi. It does 3 things, like create frames. It use the MAC address to deliver the data. So data link layer, it create frame, it use MAC address, it check for basic logical error, right? So that is framing, MAC addressing, and local address reduction. Which of the following is not one of the 5 principles of COVID-5? Right. Option A, meeting stakeholder need. Option B, implementing automated IT process. Option C, enabling the holistic approach. And option D, separating governance from management. So friends, let's explain what this question is all about. So what do you think the correct answer? The correct answer to this question is option number B, that is implementing automated IT process. Why? Let's break down. First of all, option A saying that meeting a stakeholder need. Imagine you are running a bank and your customer, employee and regulator all have different expectation. COVID-5 ensure that IT service align with business goal and meet everyone need. Just like a restaurant ensure good food, quick services and hygiene for the customer, IT governance ensure a smooth operation for all stakeholders. So this is indeed a principle. Let's see option number C, enabling a holistic approach. Think of an organization like a human body. If one part fail, the entire body suffers. Similarly, COVID-5 promotes a holistic approach, meaning that IT governance should be well connected and considered all aspects like security, like compliance, or efficiency. It is not just about one area, it's about the whole system working together. So this is another principle of COVID-5. Let's look at option D, separating governance from management. Think of a school. The principal is like governance, right? Principal you like governance, and the principal set the rule, and teachers, they are the managements, right? The teachers implement them. In IT governance ensure policies are set and management ensure those policies are followed. So COVID-5 clearly defined these two roles, preventing confusion and improving the efficiency. So this is another principle of COVID-5. But if you look at the option number B, it says implementing automated IT process. See, while automation is very useful in IT, but it is not a core principle of COVID-5, because if you talk about the COVID focuses on governance and management, right? It focus on what? It focus on governance, it focus on management, right? And ensuring that IT support business needs effectively. Automation may be a good practice, but it is not one of the 5 fundamental principles. So let's summarize the fact which we have just covered in this particular MCQs. And the first point is the first point we have covered that COVID-5 is based on 5 key principles: meeting stakeholder needs, covering the enterprise end-to-end, applying a single integrated framework, enabling a holistic approach, and separating governance from management. So these are the 5 principles of the COVID-5. You must note it down. Next question we have is, which of the following best describe the inherent risk in the context of audit risk? So which of the following best describe the inherent risk in the context of audit risk? Option A, the risk that an auditor failed to detect material misstatement in its financial statement. Option B, the risk arising from the nature of the business or transaction before considering internal control. Option C, the risk that financial statements are misstated due to fraud by management. And option D, the risk that auditor express an inappropriate opinion due to insufficient evidence. So friends, what do you think the correct answer? What is the question is, which of the following best describe the inherent risk in the context of audit risk? So the correct answer to this question is, first of all, let's see the each and every option. Option A suggests that the risk that auditor failed to detect material misstatement in financial statement. So basically, if we talk about this risk, this is called, detection risk. This is not called audit risk. This is called detection risk. Why? Because this is the possibility that auditor may miss error or fraud, right, while examining financial statement. So think of an examiner checking answer sheet. If they overlook a mistake, that is detection risk, but that is not inherent risk, right? So you have to decide which is called inherent risk in the context of audit risk. Let's see option number B. For example, let me give you one example to make it more clear. Right. So now option B, if we talk about the risk arising from the nature of the business or transaction before considering internal control. Yes, this is the correct answer. Right. Why? Because inherent risk is the natural risk. Remember, if we talk about the inherent risk, it is the kind of natural risk. Right. It is kind of natural risk, that comes with a business or transaction even before any internal control are in place. So even before any internal control are in place, right, if any risk arises from the business or transaction, this is called inherent risk. Let me give you one example. For example, a bank deal with high value transaction. Suppose a bank deal with a high value transaction, right, daily. It has high inherent risk. Why? Why this bank have a high inherent risk of fraud or error compared to a small grocery store? Similarly, a tech company investing in volatile cryptocurrency, they have also higher risk than a stable manufacturing company, right? So that is why this option is correct. What about option C? The risk that financial statements are misstated due to fraud by management. This is wrong, because if we talk about this risk, this is called the fraud risk. This is called the fraud risk, which is a type of inherent risk, but not the definition of inherent risk itself. If the company top executive manipulate financial report to show higher profit, that is fraud risk, and that is not necessarily an inherent risk. And if you look at the option number D, the risk that auditor expresses an inappropriate opinion due to insufficient evidence. So this refers to audit risk. This refers to audit risk, which is broader and include detection risk. So audit risk include everything. Audit risk include detection risk. Audit risk includes control risk. Audit risk include inherent risk, right? So that is why it is broader, right? That is why it is broader. So basically, if an auditor does not gather enough information and still gives an opinion, it increases the risk of wrong judgment. So what we learned from this discussion is that audit risk is a sum of three kind of risk, right? Inherent plus control plus detection. These are the three risks which are the part and parcel of the audit risk. Inherent risk means what? Inherent risk means the natural risk due to business type or transaction complexity. Control risk means what? Risk that company's internal control fail to detect or prevent error. And detection risk means what? Risk that the auditor failed to identify mistake during the audit. I hope this explanation make the concept super simple for you, right? So this is all the points about audit risk. Friends, if you are looking for a study material for this certification examination in IT security, we have a special course for you. As you can see on our app, the link of app is provided in the description section. So you can see the content of this course. I have added the unit wise theory and MCQs PDF and previous year question. As you can see, it has been arranged module wise. In the first unit itself, you can see there is a separate PDF for theory and there is a separate PDF for MCQs, right? So as you can see, this is a PDF for theory where each and every concept has been given in a short form in the bullet format, and separately there is a PDF for MCQs where all the concepts have been given in the form of MCQ. Similarly, I have made for all the types of all the units. How many units are there? As you can see, total number of units here is 20, right? So for all the 20 units, there are separate theory PDF, there is separate MCQs PDF, and also there is a separate folder for previous year question that you can see. So if you want to get access to this kind of material, you can either do two things: either WhatsApp me on this particular number, or you install the app whose link is provided in the description section. So the number you can see on the screen, you can either WhatsApp me on this number or on the app. Now friends, let's move forward and let's see the next question that we have. The next question is, which of the following best describe the cloud computing? Right. So that is the question. Which of the following best describe cloud computing? Friends, options are the process of storing data, right? So option number A says that the process of storing data on physical hard drive for security purpose. Option B, the delivery of computing services like server, storage and software over the internet. Option C, a networking model that connect only private data center without internet access. And option D, a method of physically transporting data between location using external storage device. Right. So what do you think? Let's go through each and every option. First of all, option number A, the process of storing data on physical hard drive. So basically this refers to what we call as local storage. This refers to local storage. It is not a cloud computing. Why? Because what you are doing is storing data on physical hard drive, right? or suppose USB, or suppose external drive, right? So basically, this is the traditional way of keeping data safe. This is a traditional way of keeping data safe, but it does not provide remote access or flexibility like cloud computing. Let me give you an example. For example, imagine you save file on a USB drive. You save file on a USB drive. You can only access them if you carry the USB with you. But with cloud computing, you can access your file from anywhere, just like how you open Google Drive or Dropbox onto any device. So that is not the correct answer. Option B, the delivery of computing services such as server, storage and software. So basically this is the correct definition, right? Cloud computing allow individuals and business to use computing resource like server, database and application over the internet instead of maintaining physical infrastructure. You can think of the Netflix. Right? So Netflix, you don't download movies, but you stream them directly from the internet. Similarly, cloud computing provides business with on-demand computing power without the need to buy expensive hardware. What about option C? A networking model that connects only private data center without internet access. So this is incorrect, because this describes a private network. Right? It does not describe a cloud computing. While some company use private cloud computing generally involve the internet to provide service on demand, right? So for example, imagine a company has its own internal IT system. Suppose a company has its own internal IT system, right? So it does not allow access from the internet. So that is called private data center. This is called private data center, and it is not called cloud computing. Cloud computing, let me give you some example. Cloud service like Google Cloud is there, AWS is there, Microsoft Azure is there. So these use the internet to provide computing resource. So this is not the correct answer. Now the option number D is methods of physically transporting data between location using external storage device. This is incorrect. This refers to offline. It is called offline data transfer, right? So basically using some storage device like USB drive or hard disk. So cloud computing eliminates the need for physical device by allowing instant online access. For example, if you store movies on any external hard drive and take it to a friend's house to watch, that is the physical data transfer. But if you stream a movie directly from Google Drive or iCloud, that is cloud computing. So the correct answer to this question is option B. Let's summarize the key point which we have learned in this particular question. The first concept is that if we talk about the cloud computing, right? If we talk about the cloud computing, so basically it is computing services over the internet, right? It means computing services over the internet. First point you must keep in mind. And second point is that it provides storage, server, database, right, on demand. It removes the needs for physical storage device. It allows access to data from anywhere. And examples are Google Drive, Dropbox, Netflix, AWS, Microsoft Azure. I hope this explanation helped you understand the concept of cloud computing very easily. Now friends, let's shift our focus to the next question. The question is, which of the following is a primary purpose of software escrow arrangement? Options are to grant full ownership of software to the licensee. Option B, to allow the licensee access to the software vendor source code under specific condition. Option C, to restrict the licensee from using the software beyond the agreed license period. Option D, to enable the software vendor to revoke the licensee access at any time. So what do you think the correct answer? Let's go through first option. It says that to grant full ownership of the software to the licensee. This is incorrect. Why this is incorrect? Because in a software escrow arrangement, what happened, right? The licensee does not get the full ownership of the software. The vendor is still on the right. The vendor has the right. Licensee do not have the right. Right, but under a specific condition, the licensee may get access to the source code. Under a specific condition, this licensee may get access to the source code. Right, let me give one example. Suppose you rent a house, but you don't own it. The landlord still hold the ownership. Similarly, in software escrow, the licensee rent or license the software but does not own it completely. Option B, to allow the licensee access to the software vendor source code under the specific condition. So what do you think? Yes, this is the correct answer. This is the correct definition of software escrow, where a third party holds the source code and releases it to the licensee if certain conditions are met. Like suppose if the vendor goes out of business. So you can think of the locker in a bank. The bank holds valuable for the customer, right? And the items inside can only be accessed when specific conditions are met. Similarly, in a software escrow, the source code is stored securely and released only if needed. Option C, to restrict the licensee from using the software beyond the agreed license period. This is incorrect because this describes a software license agreement. It describes a software license agreement. It does not describe a software escrow. While licensing does limit how long a company can use a software, an escrow arrangement is about ensuring continuity in the case of vendor failure. Let me give you one example. If you subscribe to Netflix, your access stop after your subscription end. But this has nothing to do with your software escrow, which is more about protecting the licensee if something happened to the vendor. Option D, to enable the software vendor to revoke the licensee access at any time. This is incorrect because the software escrow protects the licensee, not the vendor. It always protects the licensee. It ensures that licensee can continue using the software even if the vendor goes bankrupt or fail to provide support. So you can imagine a car lease. Where you can continue using the car as long as the dealer exists. If the dealer suddenly shut down, the lease ensures you still get support on ownership under certain conditions. That is how software escrow works. It ensures business continuity for the licensee. So let me summarize the key fact which we have learned regarding the software escrow arrangement. First point is that it is a legal agreement, right? This software escrow arrangement, it is a kind of legal agreement, right? Ensuring access to the source code under certain conditions. Second point, it protects the licensee. Remember, it always protects the licensee, right? By if the vendor failed to provide support, and source code is held by neutral third party. Source code is always held by the neutral third party. For example, like a bank locker that is opened only under certain conditions. A software escrow does not mean full ownership, software restriction or vendor control over the access. I hope that make clear the concept of software escrow arrangement, right? If it is, please hit that like button. Now let's see the next question. The question is what is the, let's skip this particular question. Yeah, let's see what does non-repudiation ensure in digital communication? Very important question. Friends, options are that a sender or receiver cannot deny sending or receiving a message. Option B, the messages are automatically detected after transmission, deleted after transmission. Option C, that only encrypted messages can be sent over the internet. Option D, that messages are stored permanently without any modification. So option A, option A is that a sender or receiver cannot deny. Yes, this is the definition of non-repudiation. Right, this is the correct answer. Why? Because non-repudiation ensures in digital security that a person cannot deny sending or receiving. A person cannot deny sending or receiving. What? Receiving a message because there is a strong proof that they did. This is often achieved through digital signature, encryption or secure logging. For example, imagine you send an email with a digital signature. Later you cannot say I never sent this email because the digital signature proves that you sent it. Right, that is called non-repudiation. What about option B? That messages are automatically deleted after transmission. So this is wrong because it describes the self-destructing message. Right, it describes what we called self-destructing message. Right, so it does not describe non-repudiation. Right, so it is all about the proof of communication. It is all about the proof of communication, not deleting message. So if you send a message on Snapchat, it disappears after being read, but there is no proof that it was ever sent. So it does not ensure non-repudiation. Option C, that only encrypted message can be sent over the internet. So encryption ensures message securely and confidentiality. But so basically if we talk about encryption, what is ensure? It ensures message security. It ensures message confidentiality. But non-repudiation is about proving who sent the message. Right? Even encrypted message can be denied if there is no digital signature or authentication. Right? For example, if you send a WhatsApp message, it is encrypted, right? But you can still delete it. So basically, let me give you one example of encryption. That encryption, suppose you send WhatsApp message, it is encrypted, but you can still delete it for everyone. This means there is no proof that you ever sent it. So it is a kind of non-repudiation, right? Last option is the messages are stored permanently without any modification. So this refers to what we call data integrity. Right? Not non-repudiation. While storing message permanently can help in security, non-repudiation is about proving the receiver. Right? Non-repudiation is about proving the sender and receiver involvement. For example, CCTV. For example, CCTV camera. So CCTV camera recording keeps data safe from modification, but it does not prove who was involved in the event unless there is a proper authentication. So what we learned from the discussion is that, if we talk about the non-repudiation, so non-repudiation, it means ensuring proof of communication. Non-repudiation, it simply means ensure proof of communication. That so that no one can deny it later. Achieved using digital signature, encryption and secure logs. It prevents fraud and false denials in online transaction. For example, signing a contract digitally. Once signed, you cannot deny it. That is called non-repudiation. The primary function of SIEM, that is security information and event management. What is the primary purpose of it? Option A, to provide real-time analysis of security alert from its application and network hardware. Option B, to physically block unauthorized access to computer system. Option C, to store user password for enhanced security. Option D, to replace traditional firewall in cybersecurity. What do you think? So option A is saying that to provide real-time analysis of security alert from application and network hardware. This is the primary function of SIEM. It helps business monitor their IT system, detect suspicious activity, and respond to cyber threat in a real time. For example, this is the correct answer. For example, you run a bank. If someone try to hack into customer account, so SIEM detects this unusual activity and immediately alert the security system. For example number 2, suppose a hacker is there. They try to log into company system multiple times using different password. So SIEM identify this as a brute force attack and block access. If we talk about the option B, to physically block unauthorized access to the computer system. So this is incorrect because SIEM does not physically block access. Instead, it monitors, it detects threat. So security guard at the building physically block unauthorized visitor, but SIEM work like a smart surveillance system that watches everything, detect threat and report them instantly. That is called SIEM. Full form you must know: security information and event management. Last option number C, to store user password for enhanced security. So SIEM does not, if you talk about the SIEM does not store password. It's designed to detect cyber threat and security breach. So there are some password manager like LastPass. Let me give you some example of password manager. You might have heard about LastPass. You might have heard about Google Password Manager, right? So these store user credentials securely, but they do not monitor security threat like SIEM does. Option D, to replace traditional firewall in cyber. Ensure IT align perfectly with the business goal. So this question pertains to COVID 2019. Right. So friends, let's crack this MCQ and learn a memory trick that will make COVID principles super easy to remember. See what is happening, an organization is implementing COVID 2019 to better align its IT infrastructure with a strategic business goal. So to ensure a holistic approach and a tailored the system to enterprise need, which of the following action best reflected integrated application of COVID core component and the principle? So that is the question. So option they have given that they should focus, organization should focus exclusively on build and acquire and implement domain to ensure the latest technology are deployed to meet the stakeholder need. Option B says that separate governance from management and utilize and use all the 7 enablers. There are 7 enablers like culture, ethics, organization structure. So it will enable all of them. Option C says that they should adopt ISO 27001 as a sole framework, right, for performance measurement. And option number D says that prioritize information and service over people and culture. Prioritize information and service over people and culture. So these are the 4 options that they have provided, and you have to select. Let's talk about the COVID 2019 basics. So it is a framework for IT governance and management. So it help align IT with a strategy. Right. So that is COVID 2019 framework for IT governance plus management. Right. So the principles are that it separate governance from management. On one side we have governance, please understand. So it separate IT governance and it separate the management. Okay. And it provide you holistic approach. Which means don't just focus on tech. You need to include people, you need to include culture, right? And you need to include ethics, people, culture, ethics, right, processes, etc. So don't just focus on technology. You should include people, culture, ethics, process, etc. And then there are 7 enablers. So besides that, how many enablers are there? 7 enablers. Which means they are like building block. These 7 enablers are like building block. Right, like culture, ethics, organization structure, process, information, service. And then there are 40 objectives. So COVID has 40 governance and management objective that need support. So these objectives, they need support from all enablers. Right. So these are the key points. So what we have discussed,
that first thing is that COVID is a basic framework for IT governance and management that help business align IT with a strategy. Second point is separate governance from management. Governance set direction, management execute them. That's the difference. That is how governance and management are separated through COVID 2019. Then holistic approach, it don't just focus on tech, it includes people, culture, ethics, process and structure. 7 enablers just now I told you, and 40 objectives are there. So friends, now let's look at the option that they have provided. Please understand, these are the basic concepts. So option number A, if you look at, this is that build, acquire and implement domain. Actually, it is too narrow. It is very narrow. Right, it is too narrow. Only one domain, not holistic. So it's only say about only one domain. Right. Only one domain. It is not holistic. So option A is wrong. What about option B? Separate governance from management while ensuring all the 7 enablers are utilized to support the 40 governance and management objective. Yes, if you look at the option number B, this is the perfect one because it clearly states that it separate governance from management because governance set direction. Yes, please understand. Governance always set the direction while management is someone who execute those direction. That's why governance and management are separated. And already I told you there are 7 enablers who are called the building blocks. Right. So B number option is perfect. It separates governance from management and uses all the 7 enabler to support the objective. Yes, B is correct one. What about C? ISO 27001 is great, but COVID is not replaced by other framework. Please understand. You cannot replace this COVID. You cannot replace this COVID with other framework. Right. So adopting 27001 standard as a sole framework for performance and measurement. So what I'm telling you that ISO 27001 is great, but COVID is not replaced by other framework. That's why option number C is wrong. What about D? D says that prioritizing information and service enabler our people and culture. So what do you think about option D? Is it correct? See, prioritizing some enabler break the holistic principle. If you prioritize someone, so obviously the holistic principle will break down, right? So option number D is also wrong. The correct answer to this question is option number B. So one way to remember it like this. So you can think of the COVID like say James 7. So there is a way to remember this. Whenever question is asked regarding to COVID, think of them like James 7. What does it mean? So G means governance. G means governance versus management. E means enablers. Enabler means what? Enabler means 7 enablers are there. Then M means management objective. Management objective. There are 40 objective. And S strategic alignment. Strategic alignment. So whenever you hear this COVID, just remember this word James 7, right? For the holistic governance. So James 7 for holistic governance. So what we have discussed, let's have a quick revision. I told you that COVID 2019 includes IT governance and management alignment. Two things it includes fancy, right? Let's break this down in simple term and learn a quick trick to remember the strongest 2FA tool. So basically what is happening, this is a case study presented before you. So an organization is upgrading its identity and access management system. That's called IAM. In short, you call it identity and access management system like IAM. So an organization is upgrading its IAM system to a zero trust model. So to achieve the highest level of security and phishing resistance while adhering to the core principle of 2FA, which of the following implementation strategy is most effective? So you have to tell me that to achieve this while adhering to the 2FA core principle, which implementation strategy is most effective? Option they have given that password plus 4-digit pin via email. You can see primary alphanumeric password plus 4-digit pin via registered email address. Option B, adaptive 2FA system based on behavior and location. Option number C, combining you have to combine the password plus hardware token plus biometric scan. And option number D, 2 position based factors like SMS OTP and push notification. So these are the 4 options that they have given. So let's talk in detail about the 2FA. 2FA means 2-factor authentication. Let's talk about it. So basically what is this 2FA? 2-factor authentication means using 2 different type of security check. Using 2 different security checks. That is called 2FA. So using 2 different security check from different category. First category is something that something you know, right? Like, you know your password, you know your PIN, something you know. That's the other thing. And second thing is something you have. What you have? You have hardware token, right? You have hardware token, you have phone, and something you are. So biometric like fingerprint or face. So that is called two-factor authentication. So basically it involves two different security check from different category: something you know, something you have, and something you are. And you know, there is a principle here. The principle is called, you know, zero trust principle. What is the name of principle? The principle is called zero trust principle. So what does it say? It says that never trust, always verify, right? It says that never trust, rather always verify. So every access request must be validated. Access request to be validated. So never trust, always verify. That is called zero trust principle. So every access request must be validated. That's called zero trust principle. So two-factor authentication, I told you two different security checks: something you know, something you have, something you are. And zero trust principle say never trust, always verify. So that is the point. So now let's look at the option that we have. Option number A say requiring a primary or alphanumeric password followed by secondary 4-digit PIN to the user registered email address. So option number A says that both the password and PIN are knowledge based. What do you think? So if both the password and PIN are knowledge based, so it is a weak combo, right? So this is not the correct answer. It's not effective one. Now option number B says that adaptive authentication. You can see adaptive authentication. It may sound smart, but it is not two-factor authentication because it is skip the second factor. There is no second factor here. How can you tell that second factor? What about C? So C says that, you know, two different position based factor, SMS plus push. Yes, exactly. This is the correct one, right? Same category. So basically, you know, if you look at the C, it combines knowledge. What is your knowledge? So sorry, we are talking about C here. It combines a knowledge based factor, that is a password, with a position. Position means hardware token or inherence, which is called biometric. So it combines all of them. That is what I told you. Something that you know, something that you have, something that is called position, something that you know, that is called knowledge, something that you are, right? So combine both of them, then that's called two-factor authentication. So it combines knowledge based factor with a position based factor or an inherence based factor. This is the strongest and phishing resistant. That is called two-factor authentication. And the same question was exactly asked in the examination. And option number D says that utilizing two different position based factor such as SMS based OTP. No. Actually, you know, two position based factor, it means same category. So here the category is the same. Right. So this is weaker security. Option D is wrong. The correct answer is option number C. So you need to combine a knowledge based factor with a position based factor or inherence based factor. So one way to remember it like this, let me tell you. So one way to remember what we have discussed just now. You can just remember it like this. 2FA means, let me write it down. Two-factor authentication means know plus have or are. Either of the two, have or are. So know means like password, you know your password, right? Have means, you know, token, and are means, you know, biometric. Looking for study material for certification examination in IT security, you can check out our course. The link is provided in the description section. In this course, you will get unit-wise theory and unit-wise MCQs PDF. As you can see, it has been arranged module-wise. There are 4 separate modules. Inside each module folder, you will see there are unit-wise folder like unit 1, unit 2. Inside each unit folder, you will see separate theory PDF and MCQ PDF. So the MCQ PDF is like this. Each unit PDF consists of 40 to 50 MCQs, and this will help you revise the entire syllabus confidently. And theory PDF consists the theory portion in a short and concise manner. In addition to that, you will get previous year memory based question. There are 3 folders which I have added, and it's being added on continuous basis. So it consists of memory based question which have appeared in the examination. You can check out the entire course. Many aspirants have cracked the paper using our material. So in the description section of the video, I have provided the link. Please go through that link. It will help you crack number 3. So what question number 3 is all about? Let's have a look. So as you can see it here, that there is a logistic company which is designing an automated sorting system for a large warehouse. They need a solution that can identify hundreds of items simultaneously
on a moving pallet from a distance of 10 meter, even if the tags are not visible. However, they are concerned about the interference because some item contains liquid. So have you ever wondered how warehouse read 100 of tag at once, even from 10 meter away? So let's decode this RFID question. So now the question, basically this is a logistic company. They need an automated sorting system that can identify 100 of item on a moving pallet from 10 meters away, even if tags are not visible. And some item contains liquid also. So which RFID configuration work best? So there are some configuration they have mentioned, like the active HF 13.56 megahertz tag. Second is passive UHF 860 to 960 megahertz tag. Then passive LF 125 kilohertz tag. Active UHF 860 to 960 megahertz beacons. These are the 4 options they have given. So you have to select the correct one. So friends, let's go through each and every option. So first of all, before delving into the question, let's understand what is the basics of RFID. RFID basics. So you know RFID use the radio waves. RFID, they use the radio waves to identify the tags. They use radio waves to identify the tags. So tags can be, active. So when I say active tags, it means, battery power. Active tags means battery power, or tags can be, passive. So when I say passive, it means powered by reader signal. So 2 types of tags are there, active tags and passive tags. Active means battery power and passive means reader signal. Now let's talk about the frequency band. Very, very important aspect we are dealing with, frequency bands. So what is the meaning of frequency bands? So LF means 125 kilohertz. So actually, as the name suggests, it is short range. It is short range in terms of centimeter. And it is great with liquid. It is great with liquid, but slow and no bulk reading. Slow and no bulk reading. That is called, LF, 125 kilohertz. Then we have the HF. HF means, 13.56 megahertz. What happened here? They are medium range. They are of medium range. So up to 1 meter, right? This was just centimeter. Now it is up to 1 meter, and the speed is moderate. Moderate speed. The third type we have is called, UHF. UHF means 860 to 960 megahertz. So actually, it is long range. Up to 12 meter plus, right? 12 meter plus. And it is super fast. Super fast. It supports bulk reading. Right. So actually these are the 3 kinds: LF, HF, UHF. LF means 125 kilohertz, HF means 13.56 megahertz, and UHF means 860 to 960 megahertz. Right. So now let's look at the requirement check. Let's do the requirement check. So in this case, as you can see, in this particular case, what they have given, that 10 meter range. Please I'm highlighting it. 10 meter range. Then bulk reading, as you can see, they have mentioned that bulk reading is the main purpose. Let me write it down. 10 meter hertz and bulk reading, and also tags is not visible. Tags not visible. Now the concern is that liquid causes interference. So actually, if we talk about the UHF, UHF is sensitive, but it can be mitigated with shielding and placement. Now let's check the option. Option number A is saying that active HF. So just now I told you that HF can reach 10 meter only, right? Medium range, within near about 1 meter. So they can't reach 10 meter. So here they have mentioned 10 meter. So HF is not applicable because HF range is just near about 1 meter. That's it. Now option number B I think is correct. First of all, let's look at option number C, passive LF. So LF is great with liquid, but the range is only a few centimeter. LF I told you, low frequency. So range is just few centimeters. So they can't reach it. So passive LF is not the correct answer. What about active UHF? So active UHF work, but the question says tags are not active. In the question it is mentioned that non-active tags. You can see even if the tags are not visible, tags are not active. So passive UHF support long range and bulk reading. 2 things it support. First checklist, see we have 3 checklists. So what are the 3 checklists? The first checklist is 10 meter range. Okay. Second checklist is bulk reading. Fine. And the third checklist is tags not visible. Tags not visible. These are the 3 checklists. So if we talk about the UHF, active UHF, option number D, it satisfies both the 2 conditions. Right. Sorry, not the third one. Actually,
let me erase it. It's actually, it satisfy condition number. Let me write down the condition number to be more precise. Just wait a minute. So let me write a condition. Condition number 1, condition number 2, condition number 3. It satisfies condition number 1 and 2, but condition number 3 is not satisfied because the passive UHF support long distance range and bulk reading, but just designed across liquid interference. So but tags is not visible. That's why the correct answer is option number B, passive UHF. So passive UHF support long range bulk reading just designed across around liquid interference. This is the correct answer. The correct answer is option number B, right? So let me give you the memory trick to remember this RFID design. So whenever you can, this is called, RFID range ladder. So LF means what? LF means low range. LF means low range, few centimeter only. HF means you can think of halfway. This way you can remember halfway, like 1 meter. Then UHF means ultra range. So when I say ultra range, it means 10 meter plus. So LF is animals, HF is library, and UHF is pallet and logistic. So what we have discussed here, we have discussed that RFID types we have LF, HF, and UHF. So when I say passive UHF, it is based for bulk reading plus long range. Passive UHF is based for, bulk reading plus what? Bulk reading plus long range. Passive UHF is based for it. And liquid is a challenge for UHF. How do we fix this liquid issue? So liquid interference can be fixed with, this is the big challenge for UHF. You can fix it with shielding. You can fix this liquid part with shielding. So the correct answer to this question is option number B. Right. I hope it is crystal clear. Passive UHF is the correct answer. So this particular table, it clearly summarizes everything. Low frequency, high frequency, ultra high frequency. Frequency range you can see, read range you can see, data speed you can see, liquid metal resistance is very high, and this high HF moderate, and passive active UHF is very low. That's why passive UHF was the correct answer. Now let's have a look at the next question. Ever wondered why auditor stress independence and trust during IT audit or IS audit? Have you ever wondered? So, auditors, they stress, auditor stress a lot during stress independence and trust during IT audit. Right, the question is why. Let's crack this MCQ. So what is happening here, a lead auditor is conducting an IS audit for major bank to ensure compliance with RBI Cybersecurity guideline and PMLA transaction monitoring. The auditor emphasized independence and uniform evidence while addressing the principal agent conflict. So they emphasize on, they put more focus on addressing the independence and uniform evidence. So the question is, which combination of action and theoretical justification best represent a comprehensive IS audit approach? So 4 options they have given. Option A, focus only on planning phase, justified by agency theory. Option B says that field work with vulnerability scan and log review, justifies by theory of inspired confidence. Option number C says that prioritize reporting for ISO 27001, ignore planning, based on in the inductive theory of professionalism. And option number D says risk based planning, discard auditor independence for faster evidence gathering. So these are the 4 options they have given. Let's go through options and every option step by step. So let's have a look at the first option. So what does the first option say? So let me tell you the audit process basic. So what is the basics of the audit process? The basics is very simple. So there are phases, like first of all you plan. The first phase is called planning. After planning, you have field work. Second is called field work. Then you report. After field work, you report. And after reporting, you follow up. So these are the steps: planning, field work, reporting, and follow up. And one more thing I want to tell you, that independence is non-negotiable. Independence, it is non-negotiable. So that was given by Maud's and Saraf postulate, right? So now there are some theories related to this IS audit. The one theory is agency theory. What does the agency theory says? It says that it is principal versus agent theory. Principal versus agent, right? So principal means the board, and agent means IT managers, right? So they need verification. They don't need just blind trust. So what agency theory need? They need verification. Agency theory need verification, not blind trust. Second theory we have is called theory of inspired confidence. theory of inspired confidence. So basically, their auditor provide assurance to the stakeholder. Auditor provide assurance to whom? To a stakeholder. So it means building trust in the financial and IT system. That is called, theory of inspired confidence. So actually, they build trust. You can say trust building. And the third is, inductive theory. So inductive theory means build on experience, but cannot skip a structure scope. It is built on experience. Now let's look at the option. So the option number A, actually it says that it is not about agency theory, which says that actually I told you that focus solely on planning phase. So actually agency, if you look at the agency theory, they need verification, not just planning. I told you agency theory based on principal versus agent, right? It required verification also in addition to the planning. So verification also is required. That's why option number A is wrong. Second is all about the theory of inspired confidence, which I told you that auditor provide. So prioritizing reporting and remediation for ISO 27001 while ignoring the planning phase to save the time. Actually, this inductive theory does not ignore the planning phase. This is the super important. Independence. So skipping planning violate the audit standard. This is wrong. What about option D? Utilizing a risk-based approach during planning to address the basal requirement. So what risk-based approach is all about? So actually independence cannot be compromised. This is wrong. The correct answer is option number B. Field work, which means testing control via scan and logs, and independence, inspired confidence. These are the two major things. Right. Option number B is the correct one. So this is the one keyword you can remember it like this. Let me write it down. One way to remember it, PFRC, which means planning. After planning, we have the field work, planning, field work, reporting, and then follow up. Planning, field work, reporting, and then follow up. TIC is called, theory of inspired confidence. Theory of inspired confidence. Actually, it builds trust. Right. So whenever you hear audit plus trust, it means two things: field work plus TIC. Right. So let's look at the quick revision point. So just now we have discussed audit, IS audit planning. There are some phases. What are the phases? Just now I told you planning, fieldwork, reporting, and then follow up, PFRC. These are the planning, fieldwork, reporting, and follow up. Independence is mandatory, non-negotiable. You cannot negotiate with independence. And theory of inspired confidence, it provides assurance to the stakeholder. I hope till now everything is crystal clear. Let's look at the next question that we have. So the next question is, RTO versus RPO. That is called recovery time objective versus recovery point objective. So we are talking about the disaster recovery plan. A commercial bank is reviewing the disaster recovery plan. The bank recovery time objective for its Forex platform is set at 2 hours, while recovery point objective is set as 15 minutes. Right. So let's clear this one. Bank Forex platform has RTO 2 hour, RPO 15 minutes. During a cyber attack drill which is happening, recovery took 90 minutes, and but the last clean backup was 45 minutes before the disaster. Now which statement is true to the context of disaster recovery theory? So option number A says that they meet both it RTO and RPO because the total recovery time 90 minutes was less than sum of RTO and RPO target. B says that it meet RTO but fail it RPO. C says that you can classify as a prevention success under DLM. It is classified as a prevention success under the disaster logic model. And option D says that failed it RTO because recovery point must be larger than the recovery time. So these are the 4 options they have given. So now let me explain what is this RTO RP all about, because DRP is a very important topic, disaster recovery planning, on which questions are regularly being asked in the examination. So to the context of DRP, RTO, let's talk about the RTO. So this RTO means recovery time objective. Recovery time objective means how fast can we get the system back online, right? So RTO means how fast we get system how fast we get system back online. That is called RTO. So target is RPO. Let's talk about the RPO. So RPO means recovery point objective. RPO means recovery point objective. So what it means? How much data can we afford to lose? It simply means how much data we can afford to lose. How much data we can afford to lose. That's called RPO, recovery point objective. So target they have given here 15 minutes. Right, RPO target is 15 minutes and actual loss is 45 minutes. Right, so it is failure. So why this important? Because failing RPO means losing transaction between last backup and crash. So it is a compliance risk as per RBI and PMLA. Now let's look at the option A. Option A says that option A says meet both RTO and RPO because 90 minutes is less than RTO plus RPO. Actually it is wrong. RTO and RPO are independent, right, not additive. What about option C? It says that according to DLM, this scenario is classified as a prevention success. Actually, there is no rule that DLM does not classify this as prevention success. What about D? The bank failed at RTO because the recovery point always be equal to greater. There is no rules like that. They are completely independent. There is no rule that RPO should be larger than RTO. The correct answer to this question is option number B. Right. So option number B is correct. It is perfect. It meet RTO but it fail RPO. So one way to remember this RTO and RPO. So when you can think of RTO like restore time, restoration time, and you can think of the RPO like recent point. This is just my way of teaching the thing. So RTO means restore time, RPO means recent point. So RTO, whenever you see this word RTO, think about forward in time. Forward in time means how long to recover. Simple word, you ask yourself, how long to recover? That's called RTO, recover time, restore time. And RPO means backward. This is backward in time. That's the difference. This way you can remember. RTO is forward in time, how long it will take to recover, and RPO is backward in time, which means how much data lost. That's the difference. So one way, just remember time versus data. On one side of RTO we have time, on one side of RPO we have data. That's it. So what we have learned, RTO is the downtime tolerance. It means 90 minutes and 2 hours is the timeline, and RPO is the data loss tolerance, 15 minutes. 15 minutes, right? Please understand. So that is this particular table clearly signify each and every aspect, clarify each and every aspect regarding RTO downtime, RPO data loss, and I have made you clear each and every aspect. Now friends, let's look at the next question. So ever wondered why trusted employees sometimes turn into insider threat? There are some trusted employee, and those trusted employee sometimes turns into insider threat. Do you know why it happened? So let's decode this question using the fraud triangle and learn a quick memory trick to spot the warning signal. So the question is, a financial institution discovered that a senior administrator who recently failed past for promotion has been accessing sensitive client file outside of a standard working hour and attempting to transfer large data set to a personal cloud storage account. So a senior admin feeling passed over for promotion access sensitive file after hour and try to transfer large data set to personal cloud storage. So applying the fraud triangle and mitigation approach, which analysis of the situation is most accurate? So the question is, there is a case of negligent insider threat, and the most effective mitigation would be periodic security awareness training to correct the behavior. So two words are given, negligent insider threat and fix it with awareness training. Awareness training. Option number B. So employer feeling of being passed over. Passed over feeling means rationalization, unmonitored access, and opportunity. And these are the core elements of the fraud triangle. Option C says that privilege abuse. Breach involve what? Privilege abuse. So it means accidental leak as per the UEBA theory. As per the user and entity behavior analytics theory. Option D. Pressure from financial grudge. Pressure from financial grudge. You can fix with least privilege access. So now let's look at the step-by-step explanation. First of all, let's clear the fraud triangle basis. What this fraud triangle is all about. So three things are there. First thing is the pressure. Pressure means financial or personal stress. Stress may be financial stress or it may be personal stress. That's called pressure. Second thing is opportunity. Opportunity means, ability to commit fraud. Ability to commit fraud without detection. You commit fraud without detection, that is called opportunity. Second point. Third thing is rationalization. So what is rationalization? Rationalization means justifying unethical behavior, like company or me. So that's called, fraud triangle. 2-3 words are there. POR. Rationalization means what? Justifying unethical behavior. That's company or me. Now let's look the scenario analysis. So basically, feeling passed over. So this particular, senior administrator, he felt passed over. So this is the feeling of rationalization. And unmonitored access. And this is one more thing as the given, that unmonitored access. So what is the meaning of unmonitored access? Unmonitored access means what? Ability to come. So basically, opportunity. So and malicious. So if you look at the malicious intent. So option number A, there is a case of negligent insider threat, and the most effective mitigation would be a periodic security awareness. Actually, they have mentioned here negligent. No, it's not negligence. It is a malicious intent. Clearly, they are passing the files, large data set to personal. So this is a malicious intent, not negligence. So option A is ruled out. Option C is about UEBA, user and entity behavior analytics. So it helped to detect it, but option C wrongly call it accidental. This is called, they are calling it, accidental leak. No, it's not an accidental leak. Actually, this is, now next is the least privilege. So least intentional, not accidental, rather incident, like, intentional. And option number D is all talks about the least privilege. So actually it is good mitigation, but the main theory here is the fraud triangle. So to the context of this question, we have the correct answer, that is option number B. Employee feeling of being passed over represent rationalization, with their unmonitored access represents opportunity, and these are the core element of the fraud triangle, right? So you can think of the fraud triangle like PRO, pro. Please remember this word pro. So pro, P stand for pressure, R stands for rationalization, and O stands for opportunity. PRO, pressure, rationalization, opportunity. So when you see insider threat, check for PRO factor. Right, I hope it is crystal clear. So malicious insider, fraud triangle, pressure, rationalization, opportunity. How to detect? UEPA, that is user and entity behavior analytics, help you to detect. Right. So malicious insider is a kind of, fraud triangle. UEBA help you to detect it. And mitigation, for mitigation, you should do monitor and you should have least privilege access. This is how you mitigate it. So the correct answer to this question is option number B. Friends, we have some more question available with us. So see the difference between malicious insider and negligent insider. That's the difference, right? UABA is a detection method. Trigger